Hello, Internet. I'm Insane Lane, and welcome to Tea and Rose's Book Club, where tonight we're going to finish the first book in the J.R. Ward Bourbon Kings series. We have the other two. I forgot to look and see which one comes next. Oh, well, I own both the other two, so we're good. I will remember, hopefully, to look at which one comes next, because I forgot completely to do that. But they're on. I know what shelf they're on. I know where they are. They are not buried. They are in an obtainable place. And so I swear, before next week, I will know which one comes next. Probably about 5 minutes beforehand when I realized I haven't changed the thumbnail. I'm slightly cracked today. Because, you know, one of the things that menopause does, it makes you not fucking sleep. And when you're already an insomniac, and then you add that, I've had 8 hours sleep in about 4 days. I spent 6 hours last night laying in bed doing all the things they tell you to do to fall asleep. You know what? Everyone is stupid. None of those things work. I even tried my patented fantasy self-induced kind of hypnosis sleeping thing, which usually works, and it did not work. Oh, of course I didn't get into an argument with my fantasy beau because he's perfect because he lives in my head. Oh. So there's that. I was trying to think of what happened in the book last week. Not a lot, really. We didn't see the sister at all. I assume we're going to get at least a little more of her. Like, we've got about 55 pages left till the end of the book, so I assume we're going to get a little bit more with her. Obviously, nothing is going to resolve by the end of the book. Everything's going to be stretched out through all three, which has me worried for the second one, because that's usually the one where a lot of filler goes, so hopefully not that. Let's see, we've got Lane and Lizzie are a thing. Oh yeah, his evil, like, soon-to-be ex-wife, like, beat herself up or had somebody beat her up or something, and is claiming that he beat her over the pregnancy, which she says is the father's, which is probably true. But apparently the cops in wherever they live are the dumbest cops in the history of ever. Well, I would say that, but I watch a lot of body cams, so really they're not actually too bad. A little below average, but yeah, it's a convoluted story that really makes no sense if you actually think about it. Plus, guy accused of doing it has an alibi, and yet somehow he's still turning himself in and being arrested, even though the whole thing is bullshit, and obviously so. So there's that. And I am looking for the tally sheet, and I don't have it. Oh my god, the burn video. Oh my god, I completely forgot. We still have not done the third burn video for the 365 series. I keep forgetting. I have all the pieces, I just haven't put it together. Oh, I'm gonna write it on my forehead or something. Because I know I have the music even, and that's the hardest part. Okay, where did I put my tally sheet? Has somebody stolen it off my desk? I mean, just because my desk is like a hot mess of, you know, garbage. And hello to Sarah Bellum and anybody else who has arrived on time. Okay, computer, when I said put something over there, I meant over there. That's not it. Seriously, where in the hell did I put this? Okay, our tally sheet is missing. I have no idea where it is. It should have just been on my desk, and yet... Does it? Nope. Nope, list of stuff I should have done last week. Nope. Yeah, I think I've officially lost it. Take that in whatever context you would like. Because, yeah, not. Did I put it in the book? I did not put it in the book. Also, not under my keyboard. This is going to bother me extensively. It will show up when I least expect it, probably attached to a dog. You know, I can't prove that he gets up on my desk at night, but sometimes he definitely does. Or at least he gets his nose up high enough to steal things off my desk. Particularly if those things are shaped like food. Not that he's a greedy little beggar who is always hungry even when he's eaten all of his kibble and has no reason to be hungry. Yeah, I've completely lost that. Oh well. It'll turn up eventually. We got book to get through, so for now, for the last time for this book, though certainly for not the last time on this channel, because this is never going to go away, all rise for our national anthem, please. Let me make sure there's a volume. There is. Okay, go.
If you're still struggling with consent, just imagine instead of initiating sex, you're making them a cup of tea. You say, "Hey, would you like a cup of tea?" And they go, "Oh my God, I would love a cup of tea, thank you." Then you know they want a cup of tea. If you say, "Hey, would you like a cup of tea?" And they're like, I'm not really sure. Then you can make them a cup of tea, or not, but be aware that they might not drink it. And if they don't drink it, then, and this is the important bit, don't make them drink it. Just because you made it doesn't mean you're entitled to watch them drink it. And if they say, "No thank you," then don't make them tea. At all. Just don't make them tea. Don't make them drink tea. Don't get annoyed at them for not wanting tea. They just don't want tea, okay? They might say, "Yes, please, that's kind of you." And then when the tea arrives, they actually don't want the tea at all. Sure, that's kind of annoying as you've gone to all the effort of making the tea, but they remain under no obligation to drink the tea. They did want tea, now they don't. Some people change their mind in the time it takes to boil the kettle, brew the tea, and add the milk. And it's okay for people to change their mind, and you are still not entitled to watch them drink it. And if they are unconscious, don't make them tea. Unconscious people don't want tea, and they can't answer the question, "Do you want tea?" because they're unconscious. Okay, maybe they were conscious when you asked them if they wanted tea, and they said yes, but in the time it took you to boil the kettle or brew the tea and add the milk, they are now unconscious. You should just put the tea down, make sure the unconscious person is safe, and this is the important part again, don't make them drink the tea. They said yes then, sure, but unconscious people don't want tea. If someone said yes to tea, started drinking it, and then passed out before they'd finished it, don't keep on pouring it down their throat. Take the tea away. Make sure they are safe, because unconscious people don't want tea. Trust me on this. If someone said yes to tea around your house last Saturday, that doesn't mean they want you to make them tea all the time. They don't want you to come around to their place unexpectedly and make them tea and force them to drink it, going, "But you wanted tea last week," or to wake up to find you pouring tea down their throat, going, "But you wanted tea last night." If you can understand how completely ludicrous it is to force people to have tea when they don't want tea, and you are able to understand when people don't want tea, then how hard is it to understand when it comes to sex? Whether it's tea or sex, consent is everything. And on that note, I'm going to make myself a cup of tea.
Or I could say that not being muted. Thank you, Sarah Bellum. I was saying these are not prescription glasses. These are camera glasses that I'm testing out because I need to know how well they work and how long they work. Amazon was very good to me and let me know these had gone on 70% off sale because they'd been on my wish list for a long time. So that was very nice. I bought these for safety, so it's a good idea to know how they work, you know? Oh, man, Artie just went live at the same time of me. This is not fair. Well, at least I have something to watch when I'm finished. Thank you, anyone that is here over Artie's, because I know he kicks my butt. Even though this book club is his fault and was his idea, even if he won't admit it. So if you're also in his chat, remind him of that. But we have this very shiny book to finish after I take the cover off so it doesn't get all messy. There we go. Much better. Whew. All right. Before we kick things off, let me introduce our pantheon of ducks, to which we have room to add more ducks. Yes, I have to make a new stage soon. It's also on the weekend project tomorrow. Sunday is my project day. I'm going to deal with the duck stage. I'll do the burning video and possibly. Oh, I was going to say laundry, and then I remembered I can't do laundry because the floors were redone. So you can't go in there until I think they said Monday afternoon, but that was like tentative because it kind of like how fast the floor cures like kind of depends on the weather, and it's been really wet because the laundry room's in the second basement, so dryness is an issue. But yeah, I should check on Monday and see if it's open because I do need to do laundry. Now, I'm glad they're fixing the floors because it needed it. There was like a huge crack right down the middle that was a big tripping hazard. So glad that they fixed it. But it did lead to the laundry room being closed for like 4 days because, you know, they had to pull all the machines out. And then somehow, like, one of the dryers that is obviously in the room, they got stuck in the doorway. And I'm like, it got in the room somehow. How did it get stuck? I don't know. They got it unstuck. But the assistant office manager was not happy because they don't own the machines, a different company does, and they were like, you damaged our machine and blah blah blah, and she was like, no, we didn't. And it's like, we hope we didn't. We hope that when we plug it back in it still works. But for our ducks, we have Ralph, Charlotte, Steve, Paddington, Caspian, Inspector Clouseau, Dumbo, Sally, Bill, Xavier, Eloise, Pongo, Mitch, Sansu, Bob with 2 B's, Sasha Bartholomew, Alex Chuckles, Melman, Naruto, Jeremy DeWitt, Cinemark, Alan Tudyk, Jeeps, Lulu. Why am I having brain blank? Oh, come on, brain. Jethro, Gilbert, Vixen, Dennis. I knew that. My brain just would not speak. Rosie, House, Susie, Wolfie, Russell, Mark, LaSalle, Cicero, Phoebe Halliwell, John Glenn. I really got to also get more witch ducks because it is not okay to only have one of the Halliwell clan. I need all of the Halliwell witches. Original Charmed only. The 3 boots do not count. Do not talk to me about them. They don't exist and they're crappy. Lil Chickadoo, Captain Blaze, Ferguson, Libby Doe, Ocean's Gate 7, Dinglehopper, Madison, Leonard, Jacques Jacquard, Lulu, Marty, Akasha, Dr. Breadside Man are still one of my favorite names, Autolycus, Deja, Insidious, Cleopatra, Extra Crispy, Ralph, Wisp, Dougie, Katy Perry, Calvin, Abraham, Nicola, Dewey, Gretzky, Cosmopolitan, also banger name, Schwartz, Misty, Miney, and Padme. I also still got to screen Black Swan. Not tomorrow, though. Tomorrow on my Discord, very much considering screening a movie called Don't Say a Word that I actually have to check and make sure I have on this computer. It's an underrated like 90s thriller, very 90s. Brittany Murphy, I believe it was her last movie before she passed away. And I still remember being so shocked when I heard she died because I was a big fan of hers and I was like, she's going to be an A-lister for the next 30 years. And oh, so tragic. And then her husband too. And, but yeah, Brittany Murphy, I believe the lead is played by, I want to say Michael Douglas, but I could be getting his name wrong. Sean Bean is in it. Oliver Platt. Trying to think, there's so many like famous faces in it because it's a very, as much as it centers on two of the characters, it's a very ensemble cast because there's a lot going on. Femke Jensen, that's the one I was forgetting. Femke Jensen is in it. I'm also a huge fan of hers. And infamously, she's stuck in bed with a broken leg in the movie. And she's seen playing a Game Boy, and there's a little girl in the movie as well who's like 9, and the 9-year-old had to teach her how to look like she knew how to play Game Boy because she never seen one before and didn't know even like how to hold it. She was like holding it sideways like a camera. And so the 9-year-old had to give her some pointers on how to play Game Boy. Trying to think. I know the name of there's like another like main like thug number 2 guy who's super recognizable too. And his name is not coming to me. But yeah, there's a lot of famous faces. Like this movie could not have paid particularly well, but it was definitely a paycheck movie for a lot of people, but it was a paycheck movie for probably like 2 days work. So very good because all the scenes are very separate, so I doubt a lot of the cast actually overlap too much. But it has that Girl Interrupted vibe to it, which is also a really good underrated movie. You know who I always forget is in Girl Interrupted? Freaking Elizabeth Moss, because she's under prosthetics in that, and she's very, very young. I think she was genuinely about 15 when she did that role, so her face, it looks a little different than it does when she's a grown-up. And she's like hidden under long hair and like fake burn scar makeup, so I always forget that she's in it. She looks adorable. That's another one. I think Brittany Murphy in that as well? Is she? Yes, she is. Yes. And Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie. And there's somebody else who got super, super, super famous who's like a bit character in that too. Whoopi Goldberg's also in that. Which is one of those roles where you see her and it's like, okay, Oscar-winning actress who was absolutely the golden child of Hollywood at the time. What are you doing in this tiny little like 2-bit role that you are definitely too good for? Weird. You know, she plays a role that definitely would go to Edie Falco these days. No, I'm sure Edie Falco is over being typecast as the nurse in everything. I've seen her as a nurse in like 5 different things, and that's not including the Nurse Jackie show. Which I wanted to like that show so much, but Hilary Swank. I believe Hilary Swank is in Girl Interrupted. No. Is it Hilary Swank or Penelope Cruz? I always confuse those two. There's so many people in Girl Interrupted. Like it's a huge cast. Also, I swear, if you've ever seen the movie The Ward, John Carpenter's, I swear they recreated the set of the main common room of Girl Interrupted for The Ward. It's the same set, I swear. Which would make sense in the movie The Ward. I should put that on the list too, because it's also good, underrated horror movie. I mean, it takes its liberties and it goes a little insane, but... And some people hate it because Amber Heard is in it. I didn't even know who she was at the time. She's actually quite good in it. She does a lot of like very physical acting in it, and it was impressive. But that said, we have introduced our ducks. If you would like to add to our pantheon of ducks, the PayPal link should be pinned at the top of the chat. We have all these random ducks remaining, and for $10, a random duck that you then get to name, and it goes on our pantheon of ducks forever. And we'll always be there to honor your generous contribution that this week is still going towards helping me build a better bedroom because I need a new bed frame and light bulbs that I can dim, which I found and Amazon will provide as soon as I can, and a pillow for sitting up in bed so my neck doesn't hurt so much. And hopefully that will let me get some freaking sleep, because part of the problem is definitely that my current platform bed has a big hole underneath and I put stuff over it, but the stuff is not working anymore. It sinks down and then my hips start screaming at me in a way that keeps me awake, so that's not helping. But it works for now. It's just, it's one of the things I need to fix, but it's on a long list of things I need to fix, but I need to get some sleep, so I elevated it a little bit. Or at least I'm trying. It's on the I'm trying list. We also have painted ducks, one of which is our Christmas story duck. This is Ralphie in his bunny suit, because that is just, it's one of those meme things that never dies. Other painted ducks we have over here. I'm trying desperately not to drop them. We have Yoshi, Rooster Duck, Mark Zuckerberg, Evil Duck, because I was in a really fucked up mood, Porygon Duck, and Julia Roberts at the polo match in Pretty Woman Duck. Still very, very proud of that, because I think it really does look like Julia Roberts at the polo match. I also got like 4 other ducks halfway started that I gotta finish. Still taking ideas for painted ducks, by the way. Leave them in the chat, leave them in the comments, or leave them in the Discord if you would like to see a duck version of anything. Leave me the suggestion. I will see what I can do. If it's a very, very specific something, please provide a picture. Or if you want it to look like a specific version of something, please provide a picture and let me know what it is. But I will definitely do my best for you. I'm getting pretty good at it. For $25, you can put me in these very real police issue handcuffs that do not have a safety button, which is why there's a key in here and a key on a string around my desk, because we practice safety here, so there's always a key within reach. And it's actually cool enough to wear these, so my favorite thing is back on the menu. It's really been too long since I was in handcuffs, and I know some people will take that in a kinky way, but it's really not, except for when it is. So really, you decide. And for the grand sum of $50, I will pour one of these Skittles drink mixes into an appropriately sized glass of water and chug it. We have now tried all 4 flavors, making the next one random unless you ask for a specific flavor. I believe the grape still gets my highest compliment. After that, probably the green apple, though the orange definitely packs more of a punch for flavor, and it's not a terrible orange. I would say the strawberry is probably the least appealing, but only because it's the least flavorful. It tastes like strawberry, but it's like watered down strawberry. So we also have those and all of their delightful sugariness and being about 50% color powder, apparently, because they turn water like really bright nuclear colors with like this much powder. Probably a sign we shouldn't be drinking it. All right, so we are on chapter 43 of, I believe, 50, but they're getting shorter. They're getting pretty short at the end, which I've noticed tends to be a thing that happens in books, because you're trying to rush and you got to fit everyone in, and you give everyone a little bit of an ending, but not too much. But because there's 2 other books, so chapter 43. Oh, the glasses being foggy is going to annoy me. They may go on my head for the rest of the thing, because I just need to see how well they record, because I haven't played with them yet, and I need to know that they work. And also how long the battery holds out, because it doesn't say that. I read both sides of the instructions. It does not say how long the battery life is, which is always so annoying on things. It's like, I'm sure you tested how long the battery lasts. Why can't you just put that on the information sheet? Like, Six hours later, as Lane sat in an interrogation room down at the county jailhouse, he tried Lizzie's cell phone for the 60th time. So he's allowed to keep his cell phone in while he's under arrest for domestic violence. That's a new one. Hi, Sethel! Hello to your dragons as well. I have glasses, thank you. They're not real. They're camera glasses I'm testing out because I bought them for safety. And I need to make sure they work and how well they work and how long they work. But I'm glad they look nice. Thank you. I've actually had glasses similar to this, bit more of a cat's eye, but I couldn't find cat's eye camera glasses. Also, every time I wear cat's eye glasses, I look like this photo of my mom from the 80s, because that was when, cat's eye glasses were first a thing, and she was a big component of them until somebody pointed out they didn't look good on her. But there's this photo somewhere that I might have of her in them. She was living out in Calgary then, and let's just say my mom rocked the turquoise way too much. She had this turquoise leather jacket with all this fringe on it that I endlessly made fun of her for when it came out of the closet one day. Could not understand how that would ever have been the thing for somebody who was hot and going to the bar to wear, but apparently it was. It was also like 4 times bigger than my mom, but that was also apparently a thing in the 80s, wearing like ridiculously oversized jackets. Like, seriously, my mom could have used this thing as a tent. And decided that she must have found out about the situation. Maybe someone had called her, or maybe she turned on her radio after all. She didn't have a television. How is this on the radio immediately? This is still why that is some like very shoddy reporting, because there's no way. Liability. Hell, maybe somebody had put up a neon sign in downtown Charlemont and she could see it all the way in Indiana. How close are they to Indiana? I know Kentucky and Indiana border each other, but they're not teeny tiny states. They're not Rhode Island. We're almost done here, Samuel T. said as he came back in the stark gray room. The good news is that you've been downgraded to a person of interest. Is he still under arrest? But things are going to be in limbo until the investigation is concluded. At least you can go home now, though, and there's no mugshot. Okay, so was he arrested or not? Because we were told he was turning himself in and being arrested. You don't. Did they drop the chart? The book doesn't know. Lane ended the call and rubbed his aching eyes. They'd given him his phone and his wallet back about 15 minutes ago, and the first thing he'd done was try to get a hold of Lizzie again. Given the way he'd left her house, there was no scenario where she wouldn't have picked up his call if she wanted to speak with him. Clearly, she had no interest in hearing his side of things. Or she's busy, dude! You just threw a giant-ass party. There's a lot to do. Plus, she has a job and a head injury that nobody's caring about. How much longer, he said as he rubbed his aching head. Can I leave now? Almost. They're just checking with the DA, who happens to be a hunting buddy of mine, because of course it's because they live somehow in a big metropolitan city that's also the smallest county in the world. Samuel T. sat down. I know it's politically incorrect, but thank God the old boys network is alive and well in this town, or you'd be getting strip searched right now. Wow, way to just like put it right out there. You're a miracle worker, Lane said numbly. The Ohio River, which has been mentioned, acts as a border to Indiana. Okay, so they're near the. Oh, so I guess like Kentucky's on this side of the river and like Indiana's on the other. Also, is it called the Ohio River because it like starts in Ohio, or is that just one of those weird things where there's like 50 places named Bloomington? No, I still say we take the cake for weird named places with St. Louis du Ha-Ha, one of only 2 cities in the world to have an hyphen in its official actual name. It helps that Sean's story had some holes in it. She obviously was operating on her own when she came up with this bright idea. Who the hell takes a bath right after they're attacked? And is careful to clean under her broken manicure. Makes no damn sense. Then there was the happy little fact that she called both the paper and 2 TV stations from her ER bed. Okay. And like they're just gonna roll with the story because she called them up. Like she might be rich and fancy, but she's nobody when it comes to media. She's not a celebrity or something. Told you. He checked his phone in case Lizzie had called back and he'd somehow not heard the ring. She's ruining my life, that one. Not if I have anything to do with it. Well, she's probably just thrown away any chance of getting a decent divorce settlement by pulling this crap, so there's at least that. Lane tried Lizzie a 7th time. Put the phone back down. What did she look like? Chantal, when she got to the hospital. You sure you want to see the photographs? Yeah, I need to know how bad it is. Samuel T. got up again. I'll see what I can do. Well, if they're in the paper, that would be a lot easier. As the interrogation room door opened and shut once more, Lane fiddled with his phone. He thought about sending a text, but doubted that was going to make any difference at all. Unbelievable. He literally could not believe this was happening to him again. Same two women, same vocabulary. As for the outcome, he was shit terrified he knew the answer to that one already. Lizzie had locked him out once. Clearly, that was the way she intended to handle him again. Dude, you were jumping to so many conclusions. Samuel T. came back 10 minutes later with a manila envelope. Here you go. Yeah, because the police will totally just show you the evidence if you ask really nice. Lane took at the thing and opened the flap, sliding out four glossies. He frowned at the top one. Two black eyes, bruises on the sides of her face, ligature marks around her throat. Did the maid beat the shit out of her? Because it's really hard to do it yourself. Like, somebody had to help. This is bad, he said roughly. Jesus. There was no love lost for him when it came to Chantal, but he didn't like to see anyone in this condition, especially a woman. And no, he thought, there was no chance she had done this to herself. Someone must have hit her, repeatedly and hard. Do we think the father beat her up? Because again, a woman can have the strength to do this. They said she had a broken jaw, though. That takes a lot of strength. It's not impossible that a woman did it, especially if it was with a weapon, but wouldn't it make sense if she ran to the dad, who is also the baby daddy, and basically said, like, your son's divorcing me, I need you to take care of me or put me up somewhere or pay for me or something, and he lost his mind and beat the shit out of her? Uh... Had she paid somebody, he wondered. The second and third photos were close-ups. The fourth was... Lane went back to the third one. Leaning in close, he studied a detail of her cheek, a cut in her skin under her eye. Suddenly, he dropped the images on the table and sat back, closing his lids. What? Samuel T. asked. It was a long while before he could speak, but eventually he turned the photo around and pointed to the bleeding cut on Chantal's skin. My father did this to her. See, I'm not the only one who thinks so. How do you know? With god-awful clarity. Hi, puppy. There's a puppy. He'll be up here in a minute. Let me finish this paragraph, then I will cuddle you, I promise. You know everyone wants to see you, and you're a beautiful doggy. You're going to tell me where you hid your nail clippers? He stole them, and he won't tell me where they are. With god-awful clarity, Lane remembered once again that terrible New Year's night back when he'd been a kid. His older brother had been taking a beating for the rest of them. When he used to hit Edward, his signet ring would leave the exact same mark. My father hit her backhanded across the face. The gold makes the cut. Sussy. If all you have is literally a cut, like, anything can do that. Samuel T. cursed under his breath. Are you serious? Dead serious. Hold on. Let me bring the investigator back. They're going to want to know about this. Yes, they're going to want to know about guy suspected of beating his wife, just randomly accusing some other guy of beating his wife. Sure, they're really going to believe you. That's how that works. Okay, puppy, I'm trying to put the book down and not lose my page. Okay, come here. Come on. Yes. Here we go. He was very patient. Oh, and something's pressing. Oops. Book is pressing buttons on my keyboard. That's okay. Okay, puppy muted me because that's what he did. That's what he does. Thank you, Cerebellum. I was just saying the puppy is also in on the bed remake project. He supports me getting a non-broken bed frame because then I will be in bed more and stay still and not wake him when he's snuggling and sleeping. Also, with the new bed frame, he'll be able to go under the bed, and that's a whole new world for him to explore. It is coming from Walmart eventually, and I'm still arguing with them over the litter box that never arrived. Seriously, you'd think like giant corporation wouldn't care, but they're being so stubborn. It's like, I ordered something through your website. It didn't arrive. Just give me my money back. Like, but the bed frame would be local, so I don't think that's going to get lost in the middle of an ocean somewhere. Also, I've noticed on certain websites, if you put things like in your cart or mark them as like I don't know, favorite or wish list, whatever websites have things. Sometimes if you leave it in there for like a month, it will like put it on a discount just to like tempt you to buy it, but it's a good way to get like things cheaper. Plus, I'm very sure I can put it together myself. Right, puppy? I mean, you'll help, of course. He'll hold the Allen key in his mouth until I need it. It's very basic and very simple, so it should not be difficult to assemble. And I did measure, it's the same, the one that I've settled on is the same height as my current bed, which is good, because I like that height. Right? Okay, Bo, I can't actually hold you for the next like 3.5 hours. I know that you would like that very much. He's completely pretending that he's asleep. But look how sweet he is. Look how sweet this is. Isn't he just the sweetest little baby? Okay, Bo, I have to read till the end of the book tonight, so I really can't cuddle you forever. He's not even pretending that he's listening to what I'm saying. Okay, you're gonna go lay on your pillow, okay? Okay, you're gonna go lay on your pillow. It's an excellent spot to be a puppy. It's very soft and cuddly, and it smells like you. Because even when I wash it, you work very hard to put your smell back. I do get dirty looks for about 3 days when I wash his pillow. I know, it's such a mean thing to do to you. I only wash it like every 2 months. Okay. Okay, you go hold down your pillow so I can't wash it, okay? Okay? Come here. Yes, little baby. There we go. There we go. Oh, now I'm covered in dog hair, of course. Why do you always have to get dog hair over my clean clothes? He's going, at least I wait until you put them on instead of jumping in the laundry basket while they're warm like a kitty. Right? That makes you better, right? Yeah. Yeah, that makes him better. Yes. Aren't you just the most adorable thing ever? Yes, you are. Okay. I love you. Mwah. Go hold down your pillow. There we go. Yes, many online shops do that. I just hate the ones that start emailing you incessantly. Yes! Yes, that you still have items in your cart. I have gotten those from Amazon literally within 10 minutes of putting something in my cart. I'm like, yeah, it's going to stay there for a while. But if it makes a $100 bed frame into an $80 bed frame, I'm for it. The light bulbs I have sourced, the sitting up pillow is being a little more tricky because I don't know why they're like so expensive. They shouldn't be. And there's like no real reason for it. I understand the shipping being a little much because they're heavy, but I don't know. I just have this. There's certain prices I refuse to pay for certain things. So pillow still looking for, but bed frame and light bulbs sourced, so those are good to go. Hopefully having a bed that isn't Sinking and making my hips hurt will make me sleep more, though. According to the internet. Oh, and by the way, if you ask the internet, does the excessive insomnia on top of regular insomnia resolve when menopause finally stops? You get a, like, times you want to tell the internet it's not helpful. As Lizzie drove into work at the crack of dawn, she couldn't help thinking about the trip in from a couple days ago, when that ambulance had passed her and proceeded up Easterly's Hill. She had the same feeling of foreboding now and the same dread at seeing Lane. Puppy's gone to stick his head down the corner of the couch, so he's good. No radio today on her commute. She didn't want to run the risk of the local NPR station cutting in with big news that one of Charlemont's most prominent men had put his pregnant wife in the hospital. Would this really be like local breaking news? Further details about the situation weren't going to change the story, and she was feeling badly enough already. Proceeding past the BFE main entrance, she went down to the staff road and traveled by the fields to the greenhouses, up to the parking lot. Thanks to her coming in so early, there was no one else around, not even Gary McAdams. She planned it that way. On autopilot, she turned off her truck and reached across for her purse. Crap. She'd left the thing at home, which meant no sunglasses, no sunscreen, and no hat. What is she driving, by the way? Her car is under a tree. What is she driving? Whatever. She wasn't driving back now. And it was probably a good thing she didn't have her phone. Oh, there we go. Lane hadn't stopped calling her. As early as 4 a.m. this morning, he'd still been ringing her. The walk up to the back door of Easterly took her a good long time, and she told herself it was a simple case of exhaustion. After Greta had finally left her house around 1 a.m., she had stayed up to watch the sunrise over the wreck in her front yard. Nice little metaphor for her life. Oh, of course, she has to be stupid and, believe everything. Because we wouldn't have any drama otherwise. And by the way, do we think in this book we're going to find out anything more about Max, who is apparently alive and somewhere, but, we don't know anything about? Entering through the kitchen, she found Miss Aurora at the big stove. "Good morning," she said in what she hoped was a halfway normal voice. "Have you seen Mr. Harris?" Miss Aurora flipped the eggs in her skillet with a spatula. "He's in his suite of rooms. I had no family orders this morning, so I'm making this for you and me and anyone else who's around. I'll have it in the break room in 10. Okay, I so wish I worked at a place that served breakfast." "I'm so sorry. I have to see you in there." Lizzie took a deep breath. "I'll try to make it." "You do that." Miss Aurora looked over her shoulder, her black eyes gleaming. "Otherwise, I'm going to have to come find you and talk to you about how you shouldn't be believing everything you hear or read. Yeah, duh." Tucking her eyes, Lizzie pushed her way out of the kitchen and went across to Mr. Harris's door. Before she could knock on it, she glanced back at Rosalinda's. A CMP seal had been put on the panels and caution tape had been run between the jambs. Really? Yet another crime scene in the house, she thought. Wonder what Chantal's bedroom looked like. Yeah, I don't think police just like crime scene part of a house. The butler opened his door and jumped back. "Miss King." Lizzie shook herself. "Oh, sorry. Listen, I need to speak with you." Mr. Harris frowned, but something about her affect must have reached through his hoity attitude. "Do come in." Predictably, the decor was proper English. All kinds of leather-bound books, antique chairs, and garnet-colored orientals filling out the space. Beyond the sitting area, there was a galley kitchen, and similar to Miss Aurora's quarters, on the far side, there was a closed door she guessed led to his bedroom and bath. Okay, so very nice quarters. It smelled good, lemony and clean, not stuffy. "I'm giving my notice," she said abruptly. 2 weeks. I would have told Rosalinda, but Mr. Harris stared at her for a moment, and then he went over and sat behind a carved desk that had paperwork on it but no computer. This is a surprise. It's in my contract. I only have to give 2 weeks. May I ask why? Just a change in focus. I've been thinking about it for a while. Have you? He steepled his hands. Now I'm picturing Mr. Burns. So this has nothing to do with the reports that came out last night. I'm very sorry that the family is having to deal with such ugliness. Mr. Harris cocked a brow. Is there nothing I can do to convince you to stay? My mind's made up, but thank you. She left it at that, returning to the hall and shutting the door behind her. Standing by herself, she blinked away tears, tilting her head back while praying that her nose didn't start to run. Of all the ways she imagined leaving Easterly, it had never been like this. But there was no going back. She had come to her decision to quit with Greta while they had polished off a half-gallon of chocolate-chipped ice cream. Okay, that sounds so good right now. In between her first crying jag and her second. At the end of the day, she didn't actually believe that Lane could have hurt Chantal like that. It just didn't seem possible. But that wasn't the point. It didn't even matter whether or not the woman was pregnant, or whose it was if she were having a baby. The simple truth was that after nearly a decade with the family, Lizzie had come to realize they were different from her in a fundamental way, and not because the Bradfords had more money than she would see in several lifetimes. The thing was where they came from. People got married and had children. They contributed to their 401ks, and they went on one family vacation a year to a place like Disney or Sandals. Literally just says sandals with caps, so I'm not sure where that's supposed to be. They paid their taxes on time and celebrated marriages and births with potlucks, and they didn't cheat on their wives or their husbands. They lived dignified, modest lives unmarked by the kind of crazy drama that went on with the Bradfords. And the thing was, as much as she was attracted to Lane, hell, maybe she was drawn to the very insanity that also repelled her, she simply didn't have the energy or the wherewithal to keep going with him in any capacity. She fell too hard, too fast for him. And just as before, what he brought to life was nothing but a pit in her stomach, more sleepless nights, and a feeling of profound depression. Some risk pools you couldn't volunteer for. Whether it was certain cancers or bad accidents or other kinds of tragedies, you couldn't always reduce your chances of getting hurt. Because you were alive, and that was the reality for all living things on the planet. Other problems, issues, and dangers, however, you were free to step out of, step away from. And when you were a responsible adult who wanted to lead a halfway healthy existence, it was incumbent upon you to take care of yourself and protect yourself. Nurture yourself. Is that how that's spelled? I've possibly been spelling that wrong my whole life. Sandals is an all-inclusive resort in the Caribbean. Oh, that sounds nice. Yeah, hey, excellent vacationing. Anywhere in the Caribbean sounds nice. I swear I've had coffee. Clearly she couldn't be trusted to keep her head on straight around Lane Baldwin, so she was going to solve the problem of her lack of self-control, with lack of proximity. Time to leave. Like an addict who was going cold turkey, she was just taking off. And no, she didn't want to talk to him about any of it. That just seemed like a junkie wanting to enter into a deep and meaningful with a okay, my brain went what? Into a deep and meaningful hyphenated check with a syringe of heroin. You were kind of missing a word there. Undoubtedly, Lane was going to have his side of things, but no matter that was, it couldn't change the fact that her heart was broken all over again, and her decision to quit her job was not subject to negotiation. And now she was going to do her best to get on with her day. Heading down to the greenhouses, she went into the first one she got to and was more than ready to work on the seedlings, which were now not seedlings at all. But before she went over to the supply station to gather her pruning shears, she stopped and took out her phone. Out of where? What she did next took no more than a moment and was probably a stupid thing to do. But she transferred $17,486.79 from her saving to her mortgage account, paying off her farm. If you have the ability to do that, why did you not? What? Also, can you really pay off your mortgage with your phone? Okay. Yeah, it was likely not the smartest move considering she would be selling the thing. Pride, however, made the transaction necessary. Well, I'm sure it's easier to sell if you own it free and clear, too. Pride and a sense that she needed to feel that she had achieved the goal she had started with when she bought the place. I was gonna say, like, she still lives around the corner. It'd be very easy for him to find her, but she's really gonna, like, literally sell her house and move away because of a guy. Like, this is something women only do in books and movies, and it's always dumb. The fact that she now didn't owe a red cent on the land was a counterbalance to everything else she was feeling. Proof positive that she hadn't completely failed to look after herself. Lane returned to Easterly as soon as he was released. Well, minus a trip back out to Samuel T's to pick up his Porsche. He entered his family's property via the back way, driving past the fields and the greenhouses for two reasons. One, because there was press at the main gate, and two, because he wanted to see whether Lizzie was on site. She was. Her maroon farm truck was parked in the lot along with other vehicles of the staff. Okay, so she suddenly and magically has second car. Okay. Damn it, he excelled. Continuing up to the garage as he parked his car under the magnolia tree. Aren't you not supposed to park like under trees because it like wrecks the paint on your car or something? And went directly to the rear entrance of the business center. After he entered the code Edward had had him use, he yanked open the door and stalked his way to the reception area, passing those offices, that conference room, and the dining room. Men and women in suits looked up in alarm, but he ignored them. He didn't stop until he was inside the glass office of his father's assistant. I'm going in to see him now. Mr. Baldwin, you can't. The hell I can't. Mr. Baldwin, he's. Lane threw the door open and pulled up short. His father was not behind that desk. Mr. Baldwin, we don't know where he is. Yeah, I suspect he took the 10 grand he got from Sutton and ran. Or 10 million. What am I saying? Yeah. That's what I've always thought the 10 million that he borrowed from her was. It's money to flee with. Lane glanced over his shoulder. What? Your father. He was supposed to be traveling this morning, but he never showed up at the airport. The pilot waited for an hour. You called the house, of course. And his cell phone. The woman put her hand over her mouth. He's never done this before. No one's seen him in the mansion. Okay, so seriously, the head of the family / head of the company doesn't show up for work. You can't reach him, and he didn't make a scheduled flight. And nobody has thought to inform his family or, maybe, say, what do we do? Do we report him missing? Is he missing? This is weird. No, we're all just going to stand here and do nothing. Well, we think somebody is missing. Yeah, let's do that. What is the act normal? Shit. Dear Lord, now what? As Lane bolted out of there, the assistant called after him. Please tell him to call me. Back in the morning sunshine, he fell into a flat-out run for Easterly's kitchen entrance. Busting through, he ran past the stainless steel counters and punched open the door into the staff hallway. He took the back stairs 2 at a time, nearly plowing down a maid who was vacuuming her way to the second floor. Down the hall, past his room, past Chantal's, to his father's. Lane skidded to a halt in front of the door and thought that he really wasn't ready to have a Rosalinda Part 2 with his own father. Oh, he thinks his dad is dead? But not because he didn't want to see the dead body of one of his parents. No, it was more because if the man was going to need a coffin, Lane was going to damn well be the one who put the bastard's head on the tufted pillow. Lane threw things open. Father, he barked. Where are you? Marching in, he listened for a response and then shut the door behind himself, just in case the man was alive. He was going to hurt the son of a bitch. Son of a bitch is written as one word. I don't think that's allowed. Heaven help him, but he was going to hurt him. Chantal might have been a slut and a liar, but a woman should never be hit, no matter the circumstance. Where the fuck are you? He demanded as he opened up the bathroom. When he didn't find the man hanging in the glass shower enclosure, he doubled back and went into the wardrobe. Also nothing. No, wait. His father's suitcase. The monogrammed one he used so often was open and partially packed. But packed badly. The clothes were messy inside, hastily thrown in by someone who had little to no experience in doing the duty for himself. Rifling through the contents, Lane found nothing of note. But he did notice that his father's favorite watch, the... Oh, okay, I've heard of this, but I've never seen it written down. I think it's pronounced Aud... Audemars Pitac Royal Oak. It's like a really, really, really fancy watch brand. They're like $50,000. AUDEMARS space PIGUET. It was missing from the lineup inside the velvet-lined watch case, and his wallet was gone. So he packed but didn't leave. Yes, brand name. I don't have our marker sheet though. I don't know where the hell. Oh, why am I screw up? When I find it. Ugh. Ow, neck. Ugh. I really have no clue where that is. At this point, I'm going to say Gremlins. Use a temp one? Yeah, I could do that. Let me see. What do I have I can write on the back of? Yeah, I can write on the back of this. We've had one hyphen string and one brand name. I do know they're really good watches. They're just really, really, really expensive. Okay, we have a temp sheet. If the watch and wallet are gone, why wouldn't you take a suitcase that you're packing with you? Like, is he gonna find him, like, dead, like, somewhere else? Heading back into the bedroom, he surveyed the furniture. The books, the desk, but had no idea if anything was out of place. He'd been in here only a handful of times, not for at least a good 20 years. What are you up to, father? He asked the quiet, still air. Following an instinct, he went out, reshut the door, and jogged back down the staff stairs to the first floor. It took him less than a minute to go out to the garages, and once inside, he counted the cars. The Phantom was still there, but two of the Mercedes were missing. Chantal had obviously been in one. His father had to have taken the other. The question was, where? And when? End of chapter. Alright, so we got two more brand names and fancy cars. And again, why is there a half-pack suitcase? Why would you do that and not take it with you? And he doesn't know what his father's bedroom looks like, but he knows how many cars they have? Hey. Quick stretch break. At least I can move my arm now. Last Sunday that wasn't true. Oh, that's my fault because I got very, very, very autistic and yanked the shit out of my neck trying to do my hair. I was just trying to do my hair. And then, ow. Chapter 44. Y'all can't be doing this again. Come on now, wake up. Edward batted at the hand that pulled at his arm. Leave me alone. Nick, I will. It's cold in here, and you're not up to this. Edward opened his eyes slowly. Light was coming through the open bay at the end of the stable, catching swirls of hay dust and profile of one of the barn cats. Aw, there's kitties! I want a new kitty. I really, really want a new kitty. A mare whinnied across the way, and somebody kicked their stall. And off in the distance, he caught one of the low-pitched growls of one of the tractors. Holy shit, did his head hurt. But it was nothing compared to his ass. Funny how a part of the body that could be totally numb and in pain. Funny how a part of the body could be totally numb and in pain. Y'all need to get the hell up. All the chatter made him curse and try to focus. Well, what do you know? There were two Shelbys talking at him. His newest employee was standing over him like a disapproving teacher, her hands on her lean hips, her jeans-clad legs and booted feet braced as if she were considering soccer balling his head. I thought you didn't curse, he mumbled. I don't. Well, I believe you just said a bad word. Her eyes narrowed. Are you getting up, or am I sweeping you out of here with the rest of the debris? Don't you know that hell is a gateway word? It's like marijuana. Next thing you know, you'll be dropping fuck bombs left and right. That's almost clever. Fine, stay there. See if I care. Turn the hose on him. He'll move. As she turned and walked off, he called out, How was your date the other night? She pivoted back around. What are you talking about? With Mo. At that, he struggled to get himself up off the cold concrete floor of the stable. When he couldn't manage it, she lifted a brow. You know, I do believe I will leave you there. Above his head, Neb snickered like the stallion was laughing. Horses will laugh at you. I've seen it. They will laugh at you. I didn't ask for your help, Edward gritted out. Without warning, his hands slipped and his body slammed down to the concrete so hard his teeth clapped together. You're going to kill yourself, she muttered as she marched back over. Shelby picked him up with all the care one might offer to a fallen pitchfork, but he had to give her credit. Even though she came up to only his breastbone, she was more than strong enough to get him down the aisle, out of the bay, and across the lawn to his cottage. That is pretty impressive for a tiny woman. Once they were inside, he nodded to his chair. Over there would be y'all hypothermic. That's not gonna happen. Oh, are we gonna have the she has to take his clothes off and get him in the shower scene? Next thing he knew, she sat him down on his toilet seat and was starting a bath. Yes, 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 yes. Because he has to see him naked before the end of the and the misshapen beast will learn that the beauty is not repulsed by his decrepit form, and they'll fall in love, and rose petals will wilt, and there's a witch. And do you ever think about how fucked up Beauty and the Beast actually is? Not the ending, the beginning. When the enchantress comes to the castle seeking shelter and the young prince turns her away, according to the lore within the story, the young prince that this enchantress then turns into the supposedly ugly beast, though the beast is like super handsome, he would have been 10 years old. Because what's the rule with the rose? The last petal will fall on his 21st birthday. And it had been 11 years. Therefore, 10-year-old child somehow answered the door in his giant palace. He's the crown prince, and he's answering the door at the palace. There's some bullshit. But also punishes 10-year-old boy for not wanting to let wicked, evil-looking crone lady come into his castle on a dark and stormy night. The enchantress is a bitch. Also, where are his parents? Disney never answers this. Wrong page. I'll take it from here, he said, leaning to the side and letting the wall catch him. Thanks. Oh, I hear a puppy. He assumed it was a regency, like he didn't have parents. We all know Disney has a problem with parents. That's why in the early ones, all the mothers are dead because Walt Disney had just lost his own mother. Oh, and we have a puppy. Hi, you want up? No, we're not gonna. No, I'm not leaning down and rubbing your belly. Up. Yep, 5 seconds. Up. Come on, you can do it. Come on, up. Yes. There we are. Hi, you little cuddly thing, you. Hi. Hi, you're blocking my face. I know that's the point. Oh, hello. Hello. Hi, you. Yes, I know. He's like, I want to lick your face, but I can't because you have makeup on and I don't want to get in trouble for breaking the rules. Because I'm the best doggy ever and I never break the rules. I never do that. Mommy wasn't looking at doggy proof trash cans this week because I'm a brat. I haven't been looking at doggy proof trash cans. The problem is, all the ones that claim to be doggy proof are ones I've already tried, and he's smarter than they are. It is his one area of genius, breaking into things that contain food. Yes, you are an absolute savant at that, aren't you? He pleads the fifth. Yes, you go bye-bye. Yes, you go baby. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Such a good baby. Yes, you are. At least he kept me company in bed when I was not sleeping last night. He was enjoying all the extra cuddle snuggle time until he got tired, and then he was like, "Leave me alone, I'm sleeping." Why aren't you sleeping yet? You're moving too much. I'm sleeping, mommy. Go away. Yes, I know. I annoy you when I don't sleep. You need your sleep, don't you? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You need your puppy rest. Come here. Oh, hitting the buttons. How do you manage to hit the buttons all the time, huh? How do you manage to do that so well? Yes. Rub the belly. Rub the belly, rub the belly, rub the belly, rub the belly. Yes, belly. Good boy. Okay? Yes, I love you too. I love you too, little baby. Okay? You go back to the couch, okay? Go snuggle. Alright? Can you help me make some rice later? Yeah, you want to do that? You want to make some rice? He's like, nope, rice is not dog food. Okay, nope, nose getting too close to the ducks. Nope. Sorry, puppy. Down you go. Mwah, I love you. Okay, go back to the couch, have a nap. Yeah, he totally wasn't trying to see if he could grab one of the ducks. Because he would never, ever do that. You know, just like your cat wouldn't see something on the edge of the desk and knock it over for no reason. No, that is still my biggest defense against flat earthers. If the earth truly was flat, cats would have knocked everything off the edge by now. Uh, He was just shutting his eyes when she slapped him in the face. Wake up. Okay. The sting did bring him around and he rubbed his cheek. Did you enjoy that? Okay, she actually slapped him. Yeah, see, right? Sarah knows. Sarah's a kitty mommy. She knows. Just make sure your children aren't secretly flat earthers. That's all I beg. Yes, I did, and I'll do it again. She shoved his toothbrush into his mouth. Use that. Okay, seriously, who the hell is this lady that just showed up? Because I'm still leaning towards corporate espionage, but it was hard to talk around the damn thing, so he did what he was told, working the left side, right, the front, the under parts. Then he bent over and spit in the sink. It's not that cold, he said. How would you know? You're saturated drunk. Wow, you actually teach your kids how to think. See, that is something way too many parents get wrong because they think they should teach their kids what to think, not how to think. I've known so many parents to intellectually cripple their children by not allowing them to think for themselves or think anything different than what the parents want them to. Your kids are not like supposed to be tiny copies of you. They're supposed to be their own separate individual people. And guess what? They're going to disagree with you about some things. That's part of life. God, especially in religious households, Jesus. Talk about conditional love. No, I believe that is what religion teaches, though. I mean, if you look at it, it is conditional love. Jesus loves you as long as you do this, this, and this, and don't do this, this, and this. So, are we surprised it leads to shitty parenting? Actually, he wasn't. And that was probably part of the problem. For the first time in how long, he hadn't had anything to drink the night before. Oh, of course, we forgot. She magically cures alcoholism. He's falling in love with her, and that just solves all the problems of everything always, because that's how that works. All your problems disappear if you just find the one. What are you doing? He said as her hands went to his fleece. I'm getting you undressed. See, we called it! Called it, called it, called it! Called it, because we have to have somehow they're naked around each other. Is she going to get naked and get in the shower with him because he can't stand up or something? I swear to God, it's going to be that like trite and cliche, and I'm going to die. How many pages do we have left? I'm dying already. Oh, God. Really? While she worked his clothes, he looked at her body. It was hard to see much of it, what with her sweatshirt. He decided to reach for her to test out that waist. What? What the actual fuck? She's trying to help him, and he's like, yeah, let me use this excuse to feel up her body and see how tiny she is under her oversized clothes. Are you kidding me? Why is everyone a predator? Oh, they're gonna kiss or something, right? There has to be a kiss somewhere. Somewhere there has to be a kiss. Also, there's gonna be a comment that like his penis still looks good and he's like huge and that still works or something. It's gonna come up. Something it's gonna happen. Or he's gonna get like an embarrassing hard on looking at her or something. My husband gets extra flirty like that when he with me when drunk. Yep. Hey, if it's your husband, him getting extra flirty is allowed. These two are total strangers and she works for him. Your husband's allowed to put hands in places because husband, that kind of gives him permission. Unless you say otherwise, of course, but kind of generally accepted carte blanche when you're married to put, hands on places and feel up your spouse. She stopped, stepped back. I'm not interested in that. See? Lady making herself clear. Why do we think he's going to listen? And why are you taking my clothes off? Because she's helping you get in the bath, not because she's planning to rub your dick. God! Because your lips are blue. Turn that off, he pointed to the faucet. I'll take it from here. You'll drown. So what if I do? Besides, you don't want to see what's under here. Here we go. I'll be waiting out by your chair. And doesn't that give me something to look forward to? He said under his breath. Hi. You are very cuddly tonight. You're just being the biggest cuddle. Why are you being so cuddly, huh? What's going on? You are so well cuddled. Okay, go on your pillow for a little while. Okay, go on your pillow. That's a good boy. Yes, I know you have a belly and you want it rubbed. I know. Just take a nap for a little while, okay? He's in full toddler mode. Yes, I'm talking about you. You're a little baby toddler. Yeah. You're oversleepy, sucky, cuddly baby. Oh, emergency ear scritch. She shut the door behind her with a clap, and he didn't follow through on anything. He just went back to leaning against the wall and looking at the steaming water. I don't hear any splashing, she said from outside. It's not deep enough for me to swim in yet. Knock, knock, knock. Hop to it, Mr. Baldwin. Okay, who is this? That's my father, and he's an asshole. I go by Edward. Shut up and get in the water. Even through the fog of his stupor, he felt a flare of something for her. Respect, he supposed it was. If you're not sure. But who cared? Boom, boom, boom. You're going to break that door down, he yelled over the noise, and I thought you didn't want to see me naked. Water, now, she clipped out. And I don't, but better that than you being dead. Matter of opinion, my dear girl. What? Come on. All right, one more cuddle. Come on. All right, this is really your last cuddle. And then you have got to go to sleep, okay? Because you are just so sleepy and overtired, and that's when you get extra sucky and cuddly and demanding of attention. Also, you're just no, but you're okay. I know, baby. Oh, I know, you're just so sleepy. Okay? Yes. Everybody loves you. Everyone knows you are the bestest, bravest, biggest, specialist puppy ever. Yes, you are. Little baby. Oh, yes. Yes, little sleepy baby. Here he is. Yes, little baby doggy. All right, you. Okay? Oh, I know. You just need to be told you're the most important thing in the universe. Which, of course, you are. Yeah. Of course you are. Yes, 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 good baby. Okay. Now, can you please go back to the couch? Okay, can you do that for me? All right. Come on. Off to the couch with you. Snuggle, 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 snuggle. Come on. There we go. Good baby. Hey. And yet he decided to do what she said, for some insane reason. Bracing his arms on the sink in the back of the old-fashioned toilet, he hefted his body up to his feet. His clothes were a pain in the ass, but he got them off. And then he was in the tub. Strangely, the warm water had the opposite effect it should have had. Instead of heating him up, it made him feel freezing cold, and he began to shiver so badly he created a chop on the surface of the bath. Crossing his arms over his chest, his teeth rattled together, and his heart skipped beats. What the hell is that? You okay in there? She asked. When he didn't answer, Shelby said more loudly, Edward? The door burst open and she jumped into the bathroom like she was prepared to go lifeguard and save him from the 24 inches of water. And it was horrible. As she looked down at him, all he could do was stare into the messy water and hope that it covered up his spindly legs, his flaccid sex, and white skin with its purple scars. He was pretty sure she gasped. Well, she's seeing you naked, so not really. Smiling up at her, he said, Pretty, aren't I? But believe it or not, I'm fully functional. I said it! I said it! I said it! I said we were gonna get told that he can still get it up because she's the love interest. Jesus Christ. And we're stealing lines from Star Trek. If you know, you know. Fully functional will be the only thing people remember from a certain notoriously terrible episode. Oh, they really should have done more with that. I'm fully functional. Well, Viagra helps. Be a darling, would you, and bring me some alcohol? I think I'm detoxing and that's why I'm shaking like this. Hi, you're a doggy. Okay, Bo, come on. You are being too much. And I'm starting to get behind, so come on. Lay down. Curl up. Go to sleep. And love you, and you're the best puppy ever, okay? I promise you. You are the best puppy in the history of puppies. And I love you very, very much. She cleared her throat. Do you need a doctor? No, just some Jim Beam or Jack Daniels. As she simply stared at him, he pointed through the open door behind her. I'm serious. What I need is alcohol. If you want to save me, get me some. Now. Did we know he was like this bad of an alcoholic? Doesn't that take like a long time? When Shelby Landis backed out of the bathroom and shut the door, she fully intended to get Edward what he'd asked for. After all, she'd had a lot of experience with alcoholics. There we go. We're getting her tragic backstory a little earlier than I thought we would. And even though she didn't approve of any of it, she'd brought her pops his booze 1,000 times, and usually in the morning too. At least that was her plan. In reality, however, she couldn't seem to move, to think, even to breathe. Oh, because she's so attracted to him. How sheltered is this girl gonna fucking be? She's gonna be like insane sheltered, right? Like Amish. She had not been prepared for the sight of that man there. His dark head bowed as if he were ashamed of his too thin, mangled body, and his man's pride as shredded and unhealed as his flesh. He had once been a great force. Her father had told her the stories of his dominance in business, on the track, and in society. Oh, if I ever write this bad, please slap me. Oh, heck, she'd heard about the Bradfords since she was young. Her father had refused to drink anything but their number 15, and so had most of the horse people she knew. And yet somehow the business is failing when they're like the only brand people drink, really? Putting her hands to her face, she whispered, "What did you do to me, Pops? Why had he sent her there? Why?" "Shelby," came the demand from inside the bathroom. God, it was just like her father, the way Edward said her name with a hint of inspiration. It was exactly the way her Pops had when he'd needed the drink bad. Closing her eyes, she cursed out her breath, then felt guilty. "Forgive me, Lord, I know not what I say." Looking across the space, she found a lineup of full liquor bottles in front of one of the shelves of silver trophies. And the idea of delivering that poison to him made her want to be sick. But he would just come out here himself and probably fall and hit his head on the way. And then where would they be? Plus, she knew the way things worked. That terrible trembling wasn't going to stop until the beast inside him was fed what it needed. We're going like ultra religious. And his body looked so frail to begin with. "Coming," she called out. "What kind do y'all want?" Isn't y'all more than one person? It doesn't matter. Blindly heading for the bottle, she picked up some gin and went back to the closed door of the bathroom. She didn't bother to knock, just walked right in. "Here." She cranked the top off. "Drink from it." Except with the way his hands were trembling, there was no way he could handle the bottle himself without spilling it everywhere. "Let me hold it for you," she muttered. "We could take that way out of context." There was a moment of hesitation from him, then he lifted his mouth like a newborn foal who had been left by its mother. He took 2, 3 deep swallows, and another. "Now that's warm." Ugh, straight gin? I don't think I've ever had gin, but putting the gin by the side of the tub so he could reach it if he wanted, she took a full-size bath towel and submerged it in the water behind him. Then when it was soaked and dripping, she draped it over the protruding ridge of his spine and the strips of his ribs. Then she went to work on his head with a washcloth, getting his hair wet, slicking it back. Without him asking, she brought the gin bottle up again and he took from it, nursing from the open mouth. Could we make this more of like her bathing a child? And him having a mommy boner for her? Washing him with the soap and the shampoo reminded her of caring for an animal not long rescued. He was flinchy, mistrusting, half dead. "You need to eat," she said in a voice that cracked. "I don't have this in me, Lord. I can't do this again." I'm gonna guess like her father died. She hadn't managed to save that miscreant alcoholic father of hers. There we go. Losing 2 men in one lifetime seemed more than enough failure to go around. "I'm going to make you breakfast after this, Edward." "You don't have to." "Yes," she said roughly. "I know." Okay, so that's her motivation. She couldn't save her father, so she's gonna save him, gosh darn it, and God, why do you call on me to take on such burden, blah blah blah. She's gonna get really, really obnoxious, isn't she? End of chapter. And take a second to try and clean these. Cause wow. You know what it is? I forget that my eyelashes always hit glasses when I wear them. I'm not wearing mascara. That's literally why I don't wear mascara, because when I do, when I blink, I get bars on my cheeks. So I learned very young, don't wear mascara. But especially don't wear them if you are wearing glasses, because then you have mascara on your lenses and it doesn't come off ever. You know what? That's too fuzzy. This came with one of those. Okay, hopefully that improves things. Also, just realized these look like the glasses that Penny puts on when she wants to flirt with Leonard in that one episode where she suddenly finds science hot. Though, in fairness, he did have a holographic laser. That was real. I mean, on the show, it was real. They let them borrow it. Uh, and it is, like, one of those cool A fucking F pieces of technology. So there's that. Chapter 45! So we're doing this again. At the sound of the male voice, Lizzie stopped in the process of transferring yet another Harida helixis spine into a fresh pot. Some kind of flower, I am sure. Closing her eyes, she took a breath and ordered her hands not to shake or drop anything. She'd been waiting for Lane to come and find her. It hadn't taken long. Well, he said, are we going back at this thing where you hear something you don't like and shut me out? Because if that's the script we're running here, are we going back at this thing where some of the word choices in this are bizarre? Because if that's the script we're running here, and it sure as hell looks like we are, I guess I should just hop back on a plane to New York and call it quits now. So much more efficient, and I don't have to run up a phone bill leaving messages on your voicemail. Hi, Ironton. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. We're finishing the book tonight. There's 2 more. And then we have the new E.L. James one that'll be out by then. And then possibly a very special surprise if I can find it at a reasonable price. But at least I got 3 books to work that out on, so I'm sure I'll be able to find it in some bargain discount bin by then. Forcing her hands to keep going, she put the root system into the hole she'd dug in the pot and began to transfer fresh soil in to build things up. Something I didn't want to hear, she repeated. Yes, you could say that finding out your wife is pregnant, again, is a news flash I would have preferred not to hear, particularly because I learned about it right after I'd had sex with you myself. Then there was the happy news that you were being arrested for putting her in the hospital. When he didn't say anything after that, she glanced over at him. He was standing just inside the greenhouse, by the workstation Greta would have been at if had Lizzie not told the woman she needed some time by herself. They're going to do it in the greenhouse, aren't they? Do you honestly think I'm capable of something like that? He asked in a low voice. It's not up to me to decide anything of the sort. She refocused on what she was doing and hated the words she spoke. But one thing I will say is that the best clue to future behavior is the way someone has conducted themselves in the past. This is true. And I can't. I can't do this with you anymore. Whether or not any of it's true isn't the issue for me. After patting down the new soil, she reached for her watering can and tilted the thing over the ivy's feet. Okay, so some kind of ivy. In another 3 months, the plant would be ready to move outdoors to one of the beds or to the base of a wall or to pot on the terrace. They had had great luck with this variant on the estate, but it was only good planning to have backups. Wiping her hands off on the front of her potting apron, she turned to face him. I'm leaving. I gave my notice, so you don't have to worry about going back to New York. She had no trouble meeting his eyes, looking at him in the face, squaring off with him. It was amazing how clear you could become with others when you knew where you stood yourself. You really think I could do that to a woman, he repeated. Of course I don't, she thought to herself. but she stayed silent because she knew that if she really wanted him to leave her alone, the insinuation would hurt his male pride, and that sadly would work in her favor. Lizzie, answer the question. It's not any of my business. It just isn't. After a long moment, he nodded. Okay, fair enough. As he pivoted and went for the door, she had to admit she was a little surprised. She'd expected some long, drawn-out thing from him, a torment of persuasion. She was going to have to deflect. Some kind of, I love you, Lizzie, I really do love you. I wish you well, Lizzie, he said. Take care. And that was that. The door eased shut of its own volition, and for a split second she had an absolutely absurd impulse to go after him and yell in his face that he was a colossal fucking asshole to have seduced her like he had. That he was a reprobate, that he was exactly who she feared he was, a user of women, a lying, cheating, elitist sadist who wouldn't know. Lizzie forcibly pulled herself back from the brink. If that goodbye was anything to go by, whether she was in or out of his life didn't seem to matter to him in the slightest. Good to know, she thought bitterly. Good to know. Okay, so I'm guessing that's where we're going to leave the two of them. Do we think we're going to see the sister again? We're running out of pages here. Here was the thing, Lane thought as he got behind the wheel of his 911. Oh, there we go. That's Porsche. Where's my pen? There were times in life when as much as you wanted to fight for something, you just had to let it go. You didn't have to like the failure. You didn't have to feel really fucking great about the way things turned out. And you certainly didn't walk away from the shit scot-free without being seriously damaged by the loss. Crippled even. But you needed to let that stuff go because expending the energy wasn't going to get you anywhere, and you might as well get on with getting used to the loss. It was the one lesson his relationship with his father had taught him. Would he have loved having a male figure he could look up to, make proud, and feel respected by? Hell yeah. Would it have been awesome to not grow up in a house where the sound of loafers on marble flooring or the whiff of cigarette smoke didn't make him run for cover? Duh. Could he have used some fatherly advice, especially at a time like this? Yeah, he really could have. That was the way things worked out for him, however, and he had to get used to it or go insane negotiating with a failure he was never going to be able to change or improve. By the same token, if Lizzie King truly believed there was even a possibility, however slight, that he could have taken his hand to a woman like that he could have lied to her face about Chantal, that whatever baby the woman was carrying was actually his, when there was no hope for the two of them, then there was no hope for the two of them, no matter what he said to her or how he tried to explain things. She didn't really know him, and more to the point, she didn't really trust him. Because you've been so fucking trustworthy? Like, always amazes me when people are like, you don't trust me, and it's like, yeah, said that to your face. I actually had that conversation with my father once. And this was not news to him. I had said to his face multiple times. They did not trust him. I also had absolutely no reason to trust him, and everything he did are things that make you not trust somebody, including the thing we were arguing over. But somehow there was still like surprise and incredulity in his voice when he said, "So I'm figuring out you really don't trust me at all." Are you fucking kidding me? Like, there's no way in hell that should ever have been news. Also, literally had said it to his face multiple times. Like, what? You thought I was kidding? Hi, you're supposed to be sleeping. I know you heard my voice do the thing. I know you heard my voice do the thing, and you're being a good puppy like you were trained to do. I know. I'm sorry I disturbed your pre-nap time. Okay? I know, I know, I know. Yes, cuddling you makes the whole world better. I know. Yes, it does. Yes, cuddling you does make everything better. Yes, it does. Yes, I know. I know, but I'm really getting behind here, so I really have to read quickly. So, can you just stay close by? Because you're the best puppy ever. And you make everything better, and petting you fixes everything. Yes, you're correct. Yes, good boy. Lay down. That's a good baby. Mommy loves you. Yes, I love you. I love you. Uh, the fact that it was all bullshit, the fact that Chantal had cheated on him once again, had cheated him once again, of the woman he loved. Tough breaks. Wah, wah, wah. Excuse me. Go ask Santa for a new father, get the tooth fairy to bring you a next wife, whatever. Leaving Easterly in the dust, he hopped on the highway and doubled the speed limit on his way to the Charlemont International Airport. Not because he was in a hurry or going to be late, but because what the hell? The car could handle it. Yeah, because going twice the speed limit, that's such a great thing to do. And at the moment, he actually was sober at the controls. Because what, you wouldn't have been speeding if you were driving drunk? The entrance for the private arrivals and departures was the first exit off the concourse. He's gonna run into his father, right? That circled the enormous facility, and he shot into a narrow lane that led to a separate terminal. Parking right in front of the double doors, he got out, leaving the engine on. Jeff Stern was just walking into the luxurious space, and even though it had been mere days, it seemed like a century since Lane had played that poker game and become annoyed by that bimbo, and gotten to answer his phone. Unsurprisingly, his old roommate. He had his poker buddy accountant whatever flown in. Okay, I thought he was leaving. No, he's picking up his buddy. Unsurprisingly, his old roommate was dressed like the Wall Street man that he was, with his structural glasses, his dark suit, and his crisp white shirt. He even had a red power tie on. He could have worn shorts, Lane said as they clapped hands. I'm coming from the office, asshole. That accent, at once foreign and familiar, was exactly what he needed to hear right now. God, you looked like hell, Jeff said as his luggage arrived on a cart. Family life clearly doesn't agree with you. Not mine, at any rate. Tell me, is your plane still here? Not for long, it's refueling. Why? When Lane just looked out at the runway as his friend cursed. No, 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 no. You did not drag me down here, south of the Mason Dixon, just to cry wolf and to go back to Manhattan. Seriously, Lane. For a moment, Lane stood with one foot on each side of the divide. Stay just to screw his father to the wall on multiple levels. Leave because he was sick and tired of the bullshit. Guess he and Lizzie had something in common after all. They both wandered away from him. Lane, let's go, he said, tipping the red cap and picking up his old roommate's two leather suitcases. When was the last time you were at Easterly? Turby, a million years ago. Nothing has changed. Outside, he popped the hood of his Porsche and put the luggage in. He and Jeff were off speeding around the airport, shooting out onto the highways. Ugh. Brand and car. Oh, ow. Mm. Uh. So, am I going to meet this woman of yours, Baldwin? Probably not. She's quitting. Well, that de escalated quickly. I'm very sorry. Don't pretend you haven't seen it in the news. Yeah, it's everywhere. Really? In the span of 12 hours? And again, would this even be news? Really? I think you I think you are personally responsible for resurrecting the printed newspaper. Congratulations. Lane cursed and sped around a semi. Not an award I was looking for, I assure you. Wait, quitting? You mean she works for your family? Is this a Sabrina thing, old man? Hey, we referenced the movie that this is clearly. Yes, hi. Hi. Okay, I will finish this chapter. and then you get a cuddle, okay? If you're a very, very good boy. Did I skip a page? I may have skipped a page. Oh no, is this a Sabrina thing, old man? Lizzie's the head horticulturalist at the estate. Or was. Not just the gardener, huh? Makes sense. You hate stupid women. And yet, he married one. Lane glanced over. No offense, but can we talk about something else? Like maybe how my family is losing all its money. I need to be cheered up. Jeff shook his head. You, my friend, lead one hell of a life. You want to trade? Because right now I'm looking for a way out of all of it. End of chapter. We have about 34 pages left, so I gotta speed up. Because we are getting to the end of this book tonight. Where are you? Hi. Alright, you want one last cuddle? Come on, up, up. Come on, up, up. Okay, but this really has to be the last one. Okay. I know you're the most important thing ever. I know, and you're so sleepy. You are so sleepy. Yes. You just want to be cuddled while you sleep. That's the problem. Okay, you little baby you. Come here. Yes, hi. Look at you. Look at this. Look how sweet he is. Alright. While I pet the puppy to sleep, I will remind everyone that if you would like to help a girl out, and right now that help is going towards getting a new bed frame and making my bedroom a better place to sleep in, so hopefully I will get a lot more sleep than I have been getting. You can do so by sponsoring a duck for $10, and I will add it to our pantheon of ducks, and you get to name it. You can pick a painted duck if you would like to. Just put which one in the message, please. Or for $25, now would be the perfect time to put me in handcuffs because you'll really get your money's worth for the rest of the evening. For $25, in case I forgot to say that because I'm looking at a puppy. Or for $50, I will mix and chug a Skittles drink mix of the flavor of your choice. Hopefully without, spilling it down my boobs like I have done before. So if you would like to help me get a better bedroom, those are the ways to do so. PayPal link should be at the top of the chat. And Bo says, thank you very much for your kind consideration. Don't you? Don't you? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, because you're always nice to everyone. Yes, you are. You're nice to everyone. Except for one FedEx delivery guy that whenever he's on the floor, he is in guard dog growling, stay away from my door mode. Only person, he's never met this person. Only person I've ever seen him not want to go and be their friend. Right? Okay, Mo, you're really heavy like this. And I love you very, very much, but you're heavy and your fur is flying. Okay, you are sufficiently cuddled. You need to go to sleep somewhere else. I know. I know the world's just not fair to you. I know. 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 Yes, I know. I know. I know. I know you're a puppy. I know. I know you're so sweet. I know. Okay, come on. Down we go, little baby. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. Squishy cuddle puppy. Squishy cuddle puppy. Good puppy. Yes, you are. Yes, you are, and I love you. Okay, go hold your pillow down. Okay, go to sleep. Mwah. Okay, kiss, kiss for the baby. There we go. Good baby. Okay, good baby. Go to sleep. There we go. Ugh. Of course, it's dog hair on my face. Ugh. Not enough coffee. Chapter 46. That night, Lizzie arrived home to no tree in her front yard. Getting out of her farm truck, she looked around. The RS was still where it had been crunched. The mangled little car with its busted out windows, excuse me, its soaked and leaf riddled interior looking like something out of a video game. But the limb was gone. Nothing but fresh, sweet smelling sawdust sprinkling the ground in its place. Don't you dare, Lane, she thought. Don't you frickin' dare try to take care of me now. You can't say fucking in her head. She glanced up high and saw that the ragged wound from where the tree had split had been cut with care and sealed up so it would heal and the magnificent maple would survive the damage. Damn you. At least he'd left the car where it was. If he'd taken that too, she would have had to contact him to find out where to reclaim the body, so to speak. So he didn't go full Christian Grey. Just like 50-50. She should have known better than to assume it was over between them. Marching up to her porch, she talked at him. She talked at him the entire way. Lizzie stopped with her foot on the first step. On her screen door, a note had been taped to the wooden frame. Great. Now what? Some kind of, now that cooler heads prevail, blah, blah, blah. He was a sick man, and she was going to do the right thing, and she was doing the right thing leaving. As much as it was going to kill her, she had to get away from him. From Easterly, from this bizarre stretch of her life that could only be described as a bad dream. Forcing herself into gear, she went up and tore the paper off the door. She wanted to throw the thing out, but some sick pick at the wound impulse made that impossible. Opening up the note, howdy neighbor. Cows out and all over your yard, ruined beds out back. No good with flowers, so took care of your tree. The wife made you a pie, left it on your counter. Buella and Ross. I'm not pronouncing the name correctly. Buella. I'm not sure what that's short for, but that is apparently someone's name, and I guess it was the neighbor who did the tree because of cows. Exhaling, she felt a wave of exhaustion wash over her, and instead of continuing into the house, she went across and sat down on her porch swing. Kicking the floorboards with her feet, she listened to the crickets and the creak of the steel chairs that were bolted into the ceiling above her head. She felt the soft, warm breeze on her face and watched the waning sunlight thicken into that peach wash that created long shadows across the good earth. Beulah, maybe. I've kind of heard of that. Well, I've heard of a version of it, kind of in Fresh Prince, but yeah. Buella. It's got to be short for something. I'm guessing it's a very, very southern name. I'm definitely going to go with that. She needed to plant her porch pots. No, she really didn't. Hey, at least she had a good dessert tonight. Beulah made a pie that was out of this world. Maybe it would be peach or berry. Lizzie found herself wiping her eyes and staring at the tears on her fingertips. It was a horrible thing to have to save yourself by leaving all this. Rather like she supposed having to cut off a diseased limb. Okay, you don't actually have to leave just to not date someone. She'd been doing so well, she thought. Like, this is a ridiculous overreaction. And then Lane had just come back down here and ruined everything. Just had to come back down here and ruin everything. Yeah, no. Beulah. You missed the B. So it is Beulah. That is how it's actually said. I guess I just didn't. I guess the A is like silent. It's not silent. I don't know. It's a very weirdly spelled name. That's as much as Edward took out of there, Lane said as he paced around the guest room Jeff had been given. It was the best of the suites, looking out over the garden and the river, and it also had a desk big enough to qualify as a kitchen counter. In fact, back a million years ago, the set of rooms had been his grandfather's private quarters, and after the man's death, nothing had been touched except for regular cleanings. Jeff's comment when he'd walked in had been stereotypically dry. Something about whether the Civil War had been commanded out of the space. Predictably, though, the second the guy had accessed the financial data, the smartass qualifiers had dried up and the man had become all business. Anyway, it's almost time for dinner. Lane looked at his watch. We dress here. Well, everyone except for me, so your suit should be fine. Bring me something up here, Jeff muttered as he yanked off his tie, his eyes never leaving his computer screen. And I need some legal pads and pens. Oh, hello. Okay, wait a minute. Don't turn the page for me, I'm not finished yet. You mean you don't want to see me and my father glare at each other across the souffle? Why are you assuming your father's gonna be there? It looks like he's taken off. Like, this is what makes no sense. What the fuck? Yeah, because Lane was really looking forward to that himself. You could also meet my sister's fabulous new fiancé. The guy's about as charming as cancer. When Jeff didn't respond, Lane walked across and peered over the guy's shoulder. Tell me that makes sense to you. Not yet, but it will. Right man for the job, Lane thought when he finally left. Out in the hall, he found himself staring at his mother's door. Maybe Edward was right. Maybe if everything went poof, his mother wouldn't notice. All those drugs kept her cocooned and safe in her delirium. Something that, for the time, he was coming to understand. For the first time, he was coming to understand. On that note, how about some bourbon? Oh, somebody drinks bourbon. Heading for the front stairs, he decided he was going to skip dinner himself. He still wanted to punch the hell out of his father, but with Jeff in the house, he had, hopefully, a much better way of taking the man down. And then he was going to follow Lizzie's lead and get good and gone. With all of this. It was just too much here. Too Byzantine. Too polluted. Maybe he would go back to New York, or perhaps it was time to cast a wider net. Take off to somewhere overseas. Lane stopped halfway down the grand staircase. Mitch Ramsey and two CMP officers were standing in the grand foyer below, their hats off, their faces like something out of a textbook on criminal justice. No expressions at all. His dad's gonna have been like murdered or something because he was like fleeing people he owed debts to or something like that, right? Shit, Lane thought as he closed his eyes. Guess Samuel T hadn't been able to work the old boys network only so far. I'll go get my wallet, Lane called out, and I'll call my lawyer. Mitch looked up just as Mr. Harris came bustling in from the dining room. Oh, Mr. Baldwin, the butler said, these gentlemen are here to see you. I figured, I'll just grab my... Mitch spoke up. Can we talk somewhere privately? Lane frowned. I want my lawyer present. When Mitch just shook his head, Lane glanced at the other officers, neither of them meeting him in the eye. Lane descended down to the ground level and indicated with his hand. The parlor. As the four of them proceeded into the elegant room, Mr. Harris closed the double doors into the foyer, and by tacit understanding, nothing was said until the man came around the other side of the room and closed those panels as well. Lane crossed his arms over his chest. What's up, Mitch? You looking for a trifecta? Jin, then me, and now how about my father? It is with profound regret that I inform you. Yep, here we go. Here we go. A cold shot of fear rocked through his body. Not Edward. Oh God, please not Edward. A body was found in the river about 2 hours ago. We have reason to believe it was that of your father. See, there we go. This is why we've never talked to the father except for like two very tiny scenes this whole book, because he was just gonna be killed off anyway. See, now if the papers were talking about that, I'd believe it. The exhale that left Lane's lungs was slow and strangely even. What? He cleared his throat. Where was it found? On the far side of the falls. We need you to come down and identify the body. Next of kin is preferred, but I never put a wife through that if I can avoid it. By way of answering, Lane went over to the bar cart and poured himself a measure of family reserve. After tossing it back, he nodded to Mitch and the other two members of law enforcement. Give me a moment. I'll be right back. As he passed by Mitch, the man reached out and grabbed his shoulder. I'm very sorry, Lane. Lane frowned. You know, I can't say that I am. End of chapter. Hi, persnickety! Artie's done, so is dinner, so I'm here. Sasha would say hi, but she's busy snoring at the end of the couch. Aww. Hopefully Bo will be snoring soon. You missed him interrupting like 5 times. Now he's actually curled up in the middle of his puppy blankie. I don't want to look at him too long because sometimes if I stare at him, he wakes up. You know, he has that puppy radar. Oh, persnickety. Probably going to be seeing the movie Don't Say a Word tomorrow night if you want to join us. It's a good movie. Probably 9 o'clock start time. Oh no, the chickens! When she comes back, I now need to know what a chicken was being punished for. Chapter 47. Lane told no one where he was going or why. When he came back down from his rooms, he had his cell phone with him in his wallet, and he was careful to stay out of eyesight of the people who were eating and conversing quietly in the dining room. No, he wasn't telling anyone anything. Not until it was certain. Getting into the back of Mitch's sheriff's SUV, he closed himself in and stared out of the windshield. SUV. When the guy was behind the wheel, Lane said, Does anyone know? We've kept it quiet so far. The body washed up into a boathouse slip about a quarter-mile from the falls. The people who called it in are good folk. They were shaken up and don't want a lot of media attention or reporters on their property. It's not going to hold forever, though. The ride down to the morgue was a bizarre one, time slowing to a crawl. Everything too bright, too clear, too loud. And once they were inside the dull, utilitarian building, all that got worse until he felt like he was tripping. The surreal quality like something out of a Jerry Garcia cartoon. Oh, I should know who Jerry Garcia is, and I don't remember. Is he the guy that invented Tom and Jerry? The only thing he could do, the only thing he was tracking, was following Mitch wherever the guy went. And before long, Lane found himself Grateful Dead, like the band. Also, what did the chicken do that it was being punished? I have to know. Was he like also a cartoonist? Also, I probably never knowingly heard a Grateful Dead song. I mean, if they have something that's really popular, I've probably heard it, but other than that, no idea who they are. I mean, I know they exist as a band. He was a founding member. Is he still alive? Lane found himself in a private waiting room that was about the size of a pantry. In the center of the wall ahead of him was a curtain that was pulled into place over what he assumed was a large glass window. Next to the setup was a door. No, Lane said to Mitch. I want to see him face to face. There was an awkward moment. Listen, Lane, the body's in a bad shape. It went over the falls and might have even tangled with a barge. It'll be easier. Not interested in easy. Lane narrowed his eyes on the deputy. I want in there. Mitch cursed. Give me a minute. Ugh. As the sheriff disappeared through the door, Lane was glad the guy hadn't fought him any harder than that, because he didn't want to admit to the guy that the reason he needed to get up close and personal in this situation was that he had to be sure his father was really dead. Which was stupid. These cops would waste their time making this shit up. Mitch came back and held the door open. Come on in. Walking into the tiled space was something Lane was going to remember for the rest of his life. And Jesus, it was just like in the movies. In the center of the room, on a stainless steel rolling table, was a body bag. Absurdly, he noted it was the exact same type as the one Rosalinda had been put into. Yeah, are the police not gonna be like, hey, you've had 2 people turn up dead in as many days? Uh, is there a murderer at Easterly? Because there might be. Off to the side of the gurney, a woman in a white coat stood with her gloved hands clasped in front of her. If you're ready, sir. Yes, please. She reached up and clasped the zipper, pulling downward about 2 feet. She spread the opening wide. Lane leaned in, but the smell of water and rot made him recoil. He hadn't expected his father's eyes to be opened. That's him, Lane choked out, to be open. Ben & Jerry's named a flavor after Jerry Garcia, Cherry Garcia. I've heard of the Ben & Jerry's flavor. It was mentioned in an episode of ER and a couple other places probably. I've heard of it. I've never had it. Maybe I don't know if we have that flavor here. I would definitely try it. That is cool though that they did that. I love Ben & Jerry's where they take their inspiration because they're kind of nuts. And their chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream is, food of the gods. I'm sorry for your loss, the coroner said as she started to re-zip the bag. Oh. When she'd finished the job, he supposed they wanted him to leave, but he just stood there staring down at the body bag. All kinds of images coughed their way into his thoughts, a jumble of things from the past and present. No more future, though, he thought. There was going to be nothing further with the man after this point. God, of all the ways he's envisioned things ending between them, this quiet moment in this cold medical room with Mitch Ramsey on one side of him and a total stranger on the other was so not it. What now? He heard himself ask. Mitch cleared his throat. Unofficially, and do not hold me to this, we're pretty sure it was suicide. Given everything that's been, well, Okay, if the body is as mangled as they're claiming it is, there's no way in hell you would know, especially that quickly, if it was suicide. And they're still 50-50ing on whether Rosalinda was a suicide. So we're saying what? There were 2 unrelated or related, but separately on different days, different locations, 2 suicides from the same estate. At the same time, all kinds of other crazies going on. And he was clearly in the midst of packing to flee, so that's not someone who's going to kill themselves. We're back to these cops are really, 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 really fucking stupid. Unless you found a gun in his hand when you found the body, the chicken is brooding. The hen decides she wants chicks So sits on eggs 24/7 and doesn't lay. Keeps other hens out of the box. It can be contagious. Okay. You have to remove her from the nesting box constantly, and if possible, prevent access for long stretches. It pissed me off today, so I yeeted her out of the coop and pen and locked her out. Okay. That or they're in on it. Yes. Okay. Good point, Sale. I had not thought of that, but you are entirely correct. Yeah. The cops could be in on it. Or, just to add another conspiracy theory, because the body is mangled, what if it's not the father, but it's the brother we haven't heard anything about, or that we haven't seen yet, or some kind of body double or something? Because, like, the dude just borrowed $10 million. You don't do that if you're planning to, like, off yourself. Plus, from the little that we actually saw or spoke to this character, he was way too arrogant and egotistical and, like, you know, just all around a bully. Bullies don't off themselves like this. People who are that arrogant and full of themselves don't, like, no. They don't come to those kinds of endings. She does it a few times a year. She's a little shit about wanting babies. Well, maybe you should let her have babies. I don't know how that works with chickens, but they let enough bodies build up before they catch them. They can be the county that caught the serial killer. Yes! Yes, 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 yes! Yeah! It's a secret plan by the Mitch guy to get recruited to the FBI. Well, I know that, persnickety, you're a girl. And you had to say it like that. Yeah, I'm not buying the self-deleting at all. No way in hell. Nope, not a chance. I didn't buy the first one as self-deleting either. No, it's gonna be something. Or, like, because the first person that died, she was having the long-term affair with the father. Maybe they killed her as, like, a warning to him. You know? Like, pay up or you're next. Need a rooster to fertilize the eggs. That's why eggs aren't baby chickens. Oh, and there's no rooster to be found. They ovulate every day. Wow, that would suck. That would suck so very hard. But I take it you don't want baby chickens. Also, I've heard roosters can be, like, really, really, really mean. And, like, they're not afraid of people. They will fuck you up. My mom told me when she was little, I want to say it was her grandfather or her uncle or somebody. Somebody had a farm. And when she was a little girl, so like 1958-ish, somebody had a farm that had a really, really, really big rooster. She said it was 3 feet tall, but, 5-year-old point of view, I don't know if roosters could actually get that big. But it was so mean and so vicious that the farmer used to control it with a whip. To which I was like, why is it, excuse me, if it's that mean and that vicious and that hard to control, why isn't it dinner? You're not allowed to have a rooster? Is that because it would cock-a-doodle-doo and wake up your neighbors? Is it like a zoning thing? Or is it because it would fight with Sasha? I take it she's learned to leave the chickens alone and stick to chasing rabbits. Pet peeve, people saying you can't eat eggs because they're unborn baby chicks. They're unfertilized eggs. Yeah, I know. I've known a few of those people. They're annoying. And many other things. Wait, they do? Hens cock-a-doodle-doo too. Dude, are you teasing the city girl? Because I've never heard that hens do that. I've never heard female chickens do that. Because the city would finally and probably confiscate the hens for me violating the law. Oh, are you not supposed to have hens either? I wonder how law enforcement goes about confiscating chickens. Like, what do they do with them? Take them to a petting zoo? What? You have chickens too, Sethale? Aw, now I want pictures. Yeah. They sound like a car alarm every day. Animal control. You can have up to 4 hens. Okay. But not a rooster. That makes sense. So do dragons get along with the chickens, or do they just wait until one needs to be roasted extra crispy? Yes, clearly. And law enforcement wasn't even aware of the missing money. What a fucking coward, Lane thought at his father. Creating this huge mess and then opting out by throwing yourself off a bridge. Asshole. We'd like your consent to do an autopsy, Mitch said, just to rule out foul play. But again, that's not what's on our minds. So you haven't. I was assuming they were bullshitting and saying that an autopsy had been performed in 2 hours. You haven't even done a goddamn autopsy. Also, it would be automatic. You don't need permission because the body was found in like extremely suspicious circumstances. So yes, you can do an autopsy without the family's consent. I'm not saying you don't ask for it because it's like courtesy, but you don't actually need their permission. Not with these circumstances. Of course. Lane glanced over at the deputy. Listen, I need some time before this gets out in the press. I have to tell my mother, my brothers, and my sister. I don't even know how to get in touch with Maxwell. Okay, so the missing brother. Somebody's gonna have to track him down. I'm guessing he shows up in the next book. But I don't want him hearing about this on the 6 o'clock news. Or worse, TMZ. That actually happened to not with somebody dead, but almost dead. All right, I'm gonna pick up a puppy and tell this story very quickly, and then we're gonna finish this book. Come here. Hi. 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 Okay, I've got the puppy. Hi. Okay, can you settle? All right. Oh my god. Ears don't go off at dawn, but mid-morning. Okay, I approve of your like casual chickens. Little Miss Brooder will go off for half an hour. Did I mention she's kind of a bitch? Aw! I want a picture of the chicken. Put in the Discord if you have a picture of the chicken. Grandma does. We'll get about 2 dozen eggs every other day when they're all laying. Wow! That's a lot! Yeah, unattended death, automatic autopsy. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, thank you for the confirmation. Certain religions can mean a ban or an autopsy. That is true. Jewish Orthodox is one, but it's still, and there have been court rulings, if it's suspicious circumstances, I'm sorry, but your right to religion doesn't trump the states need to know if there's a murderer. But it can get contentious. I finally found where 2 to 3 chickens had been hiding their eggs. Some random feed bucket in the stall we use as storage. They were hiding their eggs? Like, because they didn't want people taking them? I don't think all unattended deaths get an autopsy. Family members of hospice patients might have to answer a few questions, but I don't think they get an autopsy. True. That could definitely be an exception. For sure. It is a lot. Plus, all the family in the area haven't bought eggs in years. Oh, that's so nice. They were storing their eggs. Do chickens do that? What do they do with them? Why do they store them? Sometimes patients wait until they're alone to pass, also wait for loved ones to get there. Yeah, I get that. But yeah, my aunt, I think everyone knows I was in a car accident when I was a child, a bad one, where somebody was killed. And a lot of people were hurt. It was a big deal. It made the news. It was on the local news. It was in the papers. I used to have the article somewhere. Um, but that is my aunt found out about it watching the 11 o'clock news that night. They couldn't name names, of course, because we have actual privacy laws here. However, when there's a helicopter that had flown over the accident scene before the ambulance had even got there, she recognized her sister and me on the 6 o'clock news or the 11 o'clock news on TV, and had to order her kids out of the room before they noticed because they were very little. I was 10, so that makes them like 8 and like maybe 5 at the time. My aunt was then so panicked she grabbed her phone book, because this is back when people had phone books, and started calling down the hospitals looking to see which one we were in, and apparently it took her over an hour to realize that she was calling hospitals in her area where she lived, and we lived in a completely different city, so she was calling all the wrong places. But yeah, that's how she found out that her sister and her niece had been in a serious car accident. She saw it on the news. I remember when my mom found out about that, she was extremely pissed. I've never seen the footage. I'm sure it's archived somewhere. But that's considered attended, yes. If you don't need to refrigerate eggs, you don't need to refrigerate eggs you get from your own chickens, only ones that come from the grocery store. They secrete a film over the eggs that seals them. That's cool and weird. So how long do they like stay fresh enough that you could safely eat them if they're not in the fridge or they're from chickens? From like chickens that you have. I don't know. We found 16 eggs in a bucket and they're 3 different colors, so it used 3 different chickens laying there. It's just them laying when we let them out for the day instead of laying when they were put up at night. Okay. I guess chickens go and do their own thing. I mean, I'd imagine they got this whole egg laying system worked out pretty good at this point. Okay, Mo, know that you want to sleep in my arms tonight a lot, because this is now the 6th time that you're interrupting, and you've had so much cuddles, but we do have 20 more pages to get through. So, I'm sorry, but I can't just sit here and hold you for another hour and a half. I know you don't understand. Well, you do actually, you just don't like the answer. Okay? Okay, so say goodnight to everyone. Tell everyone to help me get a new bed frame to put you on and cuddle you, because it's all for you. And when you can run around underneath if you're feeling particularly brave. You know, he's got that little dog thing where he doesn't like things being over his head because he thinks the world will fall on him. The eggs can sit for at least a month and still be safe to eat. It's fucking crazy. And by crazy, I mean super cool. But okay, Bo, I know. You're so sleepy. I know, little baby. I know. Okay, I love you. I love you, little baby. Yes, I love you so much. Oh, so good. Oh, and your fur gets on my nose all the time. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. There we go. Give me the controls. I'm sorry. Okay, yes, I love you. Yes, I see your little blinky eyes and I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Good boy, I love you. Yes. Okay. You go sleep, please, okay? Can you do that? Yeah? Okay. You go sleep. You can go sleep, okay? Good boy. That's a good boy. You can just imagine Bo around a chicken. First, he would bark like crazy. Then, if he was feeling brave enough, he might run at it. But the second it tried to peck him or flap, he'd run away with his tail between his legs and hide behind me. He only thinks he's big and tough until something challenges that assumption. Then he caves immediately. Law enforcement is committed to working with you and your family. I'll be as quick as I can. Excuse me. That would make it easier on everyone here. A clipboard came out of nowhere and he signed a variety of things. As he gave the pen back to the coroner, he thought, shit, they were still going to have to plan a funeral. Although, to be honest, that was the very last thing he had any interest in was honoring his father in any fashion. Hey, you can keep it small. You can say, like, private funeral, family only. You don't have to make it some big public spectacle, though I'm sure that'll happen. In some counties, store-bought eggs aren't washed. They'll be in the carton dirty because it made transport and storage easier since refrigeration isn't needed, though I believe those counties have stricter health code and regulation regarding chickens and eggs. Yeah, my friend in the UK thinks we're weird here because all eggs in stores are pasteurized. And apparently that's just weird. And he doesn't like live in the country or anything. He lives in central London. Oh, did anyone see that Larry the cat greeted the new prime minister by giving him the gift of a dead mouse upon his arrival? Go Larry the cat. That was after just 2 days ago he gave the press corps a dead mouse and then posed for pictures with his trophy. He really did. He's known to be quite a good mouser. I'm not hungry. As Edward sat in his chair in his cottage, he was fully aware that he sounded like a 4-year-old refusing dinner. But he didn't care. The fact that the smells coming out of the galley kitchen were making his mouth water was beside the point. Do we think we get any check-in with the sister? Because she's been gone for like 70 pages now. The Shelby, however, had selective hearing. Here you go. She put the bowl of stew on the table next to the bottle of... What was he drinking now? Oh, tequila. Well, wasn't that going swimmingly with the beef gravy? Also, mixing tequila and gin? Ugh. I mean, granted, I've never had either, but bleh. Well, no, I had tequila in a cocktail once and discovered I hate tequila. Eat, she commanded in a tone that suggested he either did the job himself or she was going to puree the stuff and force feed it to him through a straw. You know you can leave any time you like, he muttered. For God's sakes, the woman had been in his house all day long, cleaning, doing laundry, cooking. He'd pointed out to her a couple of times that she'd been hired to take care of the horses, not the owner, but again, her hearing was very spotty. Damn, that's good, he thought as he took a mouthful. I want to make an appointment for you with your doctor. The sound of a car driving up was a welcome intrusion, especially as he struggled to remember what day it was, and hoped it was somehow Friday once again. He rather liked the idea of her seeing a prostitute come to service him. Hell, she could even watch if she cared to. Not that it was much of a show. Okay. So, he's kind of kinky. For a split second, he recalled the feel of Sutton straddling him, moving up and down, looking into his eyes. See, he's the only one that doesn't have like a clear-cut love interest, because either of those women could do just fine. So something has to happen. Something is going to happen to make one of them the clear choice over the other one. Uh, A sharp pain through his chest made him eat faster just to get rid of the sensation. The knocking was loud. "Would you mind doing the honors?" he said to Shelby. "If it's a woman, invite her in. If it isn't, tell them to get the hell off my property." "Use the word hell, will you? We both know it's in your vocabulary." The glare she shot at him probably would have blown him off his feet if he hadn't been sitting down already. But she did go to the door. Opening up, she said, "Oh, my." "Who is it?" Edward muttered. "Your fairy godmother?" Except no. It was Lane. As his brother came into the cottage, Edward started shaking his head. "Whatever it is, you gotta go somewhere else with it. I told you, I'm not gonna help you anymore. May we speak in private?" "Not a question." Edward rolled his eyes. "It doesn't matter what you say. This is family business. Isn't it always?" When Lane didn't budge, Edward cursed. "Whatever it is, you can say it in front of her." If anything, hopefully Shelby's presence in the little room would speed things along. Lane glanced at the woman, looked back. "Father's dead." As Shelby gasped, Edward slowly lowered his spoon back to the bowl. Then he said in a rough voice, "Shelby, will you please excuse my brother and me for a moment? Thank you kindly." Funny manners came back out of him in times of crisis. After Shelby scuttled out the door, Edward wiped his mouth on his paper napkin. "When?" "Sometime last night, they think. He threw himself off the bridge, most likely. His body washed up on the other side of the falls." Okay, anyone who could have jumped off a bridge could also have been thrown off a bridge. Edward sat back in his chair. He intended to say something. He really did. He just couldn't remember what it was. Lane evidently felt the same way because his youngest brother went to the only other chair in the room and sat down. "I told Mother I came out before I came out here. I don't think she has no idea what I said to her. She's not tracking at all. Also told Jin. Her reaction was just what yours is." "Are they sure," Edward asked, "that it's him?" For some reason, that seemed vitally important, although how could a mistake of this magnitude be made? "I was the one who identified the body." Edward closed his eyes again, and for a brief moment that pilot light of his flickered on again. "That shouldn't have been you. I should have done that." "It was fine. I didn't." Lane took a deep breath. "I don't seem to be having any reaction to it at all. I'm sure you heard about yesterday." Edward looked over at his brother. "What about yesterday?" Lane laughed in a hard burst. "Sometimes not having cable television is a good thing, no? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't." He sat in silence for the longest time, and later Edward would realize it was because he was waiting for some kind of emotional reaction of his own. Sorrow. Hell, maybe joy. There was nothing. Just a resonant numbness. "I've got to find Max," Lane said. "Law enforcement's going to keep a lid on this until we're ready to make a statement, but that respite won't last forever." "I don't know where he is," Edward murmured. I keep trying the number I had from him 2 years ago. I sent him an email, too, at his last known. I think he might be really far off the grid." More quiet. "Is Jin all right?" Edward asked. Lane shook his head, and then swung his eyes over. "Are any of us?" Sadly, Edward thought, the answer to that is no. End of chapter. They're getting really short. I don't think there's an epilogue. Chapter 48 out of 50. So these two have to be these got to be a little longer. The next morning, as Lizzie went up the back stairs with a bouquet in her hand, she gave herself a pep talk. It was all well and good to hide in the greenhouses, but come on. She had 13 days left of employment at Easterly, and she was not going out on a shirker note. She always did the flowers for the bedrooms. She had her schedule, and she was going to go and well do her job. Up on the second floor, she squared her shoulders and went down to the best guest room. Mr. Harris had told her they had an unexpected house guest, and also there was no need to refresh the flowers in Chantal's room anymore. Good to know, Mr. Harris. Thanks so much. At least that was one person off her don't need to run into list. Too bad the number one spot was still under Easterly's roof. 13 days, she said under her breath. Just 13 days. At the broad door, she knocked and waited. After a moment, a male voice said, "Come in." Pushing the panels wide, she saw a man sitting on Lane's grandfather's desk across the way. His back bent into a comma as he scrummed down over a laptop. Next to him, a printer was spitting out pages marked with columns, and at his feet, wadded up balls of yellow legal paper dotted the floor. He didn't look up. "I'm just here with some flowers," she said. "Mm-hmm." Beside him on the window shelf was a tray of empty breakfast dishes. As she put the vase down on the antique bureau, she offered, "May I take that down for you?" "What?" he murmured while still focused on the screen. "The tray." "Sure. Thanks." He had to be here to look at those files, she thought, the ones Rosalinda had left behind. Not her business, she reminded herself. Going around the desk, she saw 2 expensive suitcases, one of which was opened and rifled through. And yet, she had the impression the man hadn't changed since whenever he'd arrived. His white shirt was wrinkled everywhere, so were his pants. Also not her business. Picking up the tray, "Oh my God." As he spoke up, she almost didn't glance over at him, figuring he'd found something in whatever he was going through. And then she realized he was staring at her. "What?" she asked. "You're Lizzie, right?" Recoiling, she glanced around, but come on, like there was someone standing behind her. Yes." "Lane's Lizzie, the horticulturalist." "No," she said, "no, not his." The man stretched his arms over his head, and as all kinds of cracking happened, she noticed he was very good looking, with dark hair and dark eyes that might have been brown, might have been blue. The accent was very definitely New York. "Wow," he murmured, "I thought you were made up. If you'll excuse me, I have some work to do." Who tells someone I thought you were made up? And now I understand why he didn't go after anyone else for 2 years. Don't ask, Lizzie told herself. Don't. "I'm sorry," she heard herself say. Crap. For 2 years, nada. I mean, look, we went to college together, so I saw firsthand how he earned his reputation. But for the last 2 years, he didn't go near a woman. I thought he was gay. Yeah, 'cause seriously, if you're not chasing skirt every night, you have to be gay, 'cause that's the fucking rule. Why are people stupid? I even asked if he was gay. The man put his palms out. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Oh my God! We had to 90s drop that line in a book that was written in 2015. Wasn't that a line from Seinfeld, she thought, and many, 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 many other shows. So at least now I get it. The man smiled in a totally non-creepy way. The fact that you have to differentiate. But he says you're leaving. It's none of my business, but why? He's a good man. Not perfect, but good. Wouldn't suggest you play poker against the guy, though, not unless you have money to lose. Dude, aren't you here to do a thing? Why are you getting in the middle of this? Lizzie frowned. I didn't even know he was married, by the way. He never talked about her. I certainly never met her. And now, come to find out, it was about you all along. Well, anyway, back to work. Are you fucking kidding? Dude, what the hell is your problem? God, like I know you were flown in for exposition purposes, but fuck. Like the guy hadn't just dropped a bomb in the middle of the room. As Lizzie's heart started to pump at double speed, she said, "I'm sorry? Did you say you never knew he was married?" The guy looked back over at her. No, he never brought it up. He never brought up the woman. Not once in the 2 years he was sleeping on my couch. I didn't find out until he called me a couple days ago. But you must have met her, right? When she visited him? Visited him? Honey, we never had any visitors. And I would know because he never left my place. We played poker all night, I'd go to work, only to come back and find him on my sofa in exactly the same position I'd left him in. He didn't see anyone, didn't accept phone calls, never came back down here, never traveled, just locked himself away in my apartment and drank. I figured his next stop was a dialysis unit. Oh. The guy cocked an eyebrow as if he wanted to know if she needed any more information. Thank you, she said. Thank you for the flowers. I've never had a woman bring some to me before. And then he was back to work, frowning at the screen. Lizzie walked out of the room in a daze and had to remind herself to kick the door shut in her wake. After standing there for a moment, she swiveled her head and looked down the hall to Mr. Baldwin's room. No visitors, no phone calls. 2 years up in New York on some old friend's couch. And Chantal was supposedly pregnant. With Lane's baby. Lizzie wasn't consciously aware of deciding to move, but before she knew it, she had put the tray of dishes down on the runner outside the guest room and was tiptoeing over the carpet. When she got to Mr. Baldwin's room, she put her ear to the panels. Then she knocked quietly. When there was no answer, she slipped inside and shut herself in. That's not creepy at all. There was something eerie about the room. Then again, she was essentially trespassing as she had no valid reason for being in here. Well, no valid reason tied to her job. Glancing around to make sure she hadn't missed someone else in the bathroom beyond, she quickened over to the large bed that was made up with military precision. Lowering herself down to her knees, she craned under the side table, under the bed frame itself. The wisp of silk was still there on the floor. Lizzie stretched out her arm. Knock, knock, knock. Towel service, Mr. Baldwin. The hell? With a frantic lunge, Lizzie threw herself under the bed skirt, just tucking her legs in as the maid opened the door and walked in the room. Of course he's going to come in and find her under the bed. Like, this is so dumb. A soft whistling and the softer footsteps on the thick rug tracked the woman's progress as she went into the bathroom. Please don't clean, Lizzie thought as she lay still in the darkness. Just drop those towels and keep going. Drop the towels, keep going. God, her heart was pounding so hard it was a wonder the maid didn't hear the damn thing. Moments later, a miracle happened and those footfalls backtracked and the door was reshut. Lizzie sagged and closed her eyes. Right. Okay. She was taking cat burglar off her list of next possible careers after she left Easterly. Locking a hold on the lingerie, she stuffed the thing into the waistband of her khakis and covered it up by untucking her polo shirt. Then she shuffled out from under and got to her feet and brushed herself off. Back at the door, she heard, shoot, the vacuum cleaner running right outside in the hall. Down in Miss Aurora's quarters, Lane was struggling to get through his bacon and eggs. You don't have to finish that, she said next to him. Didn't think I'd ever hear that coming from you. The rules are suspended for today. Sitting back in the bark lounger, he glanced over at her little galley kitchen. All the dishes were done, everything drying in the rack. The sponge was in the dish. The dish towel was folded neatly over over the oven's long handle. Do you think Reverend Niece will do the service? He asked. At Shalom Baptist. Miss Aurora looked at him sharply. Really? That's my church. Edward and Jin's and Max's too. He looked at her. You were the only one who ever took us to worship. I think he would be honored. Good, I'll call him. As they fell silent, Lane stared straight ahead, seeing nothing, focusing on nothing. There wasn't anything in his brain either. He was numb from the floor up, an empty vessel reacting to the world around him rather than actually living in it. I'm not going to give you my blessing. He shook himself and glanced back across at her. I'm sorry? I'm not going to tell you it's okay to leave. Lane frowned and opened his mouth, then shut things up. Funny, he hadn't been aware of speaking that out loud, but then she knew him better than anyone else. Things didn't work with Lizzie. Again. Father's dead, Edward's moved out, Mother is, well, you know. Jin's going to marry that idiot and probably take Amelia with her. This whole era, it's over, Miss Aurora, and what's more, I don't know how the future holds any of us on this land anymore. Easterly. He moved his hand around, thinking of the estate and all the people and buildings on it. Easterly's part of the past, and you know I can't live in that. It's poisonous. The family, this house, the way of life, it's just poisonous. Miss Aurora shook her head. You're looking at it the wrong way. I'm really not. Miss Aurora sat forward in her chair and reached for his hands. This is your time, Lane. God has provided you with a sacred duty to keep this family together. You're the only one who can do it. This is all falling into place because it's your destiny to bind the blood once again. She has to die at the end of the book, right? We've only got maybe 15 pages left. I'm guessing she dies at the end of this book. It happens every couple of generations. It's happening now. This is your time. Lane stared down at their fingers, the white and the dark intertwined. It was supposed to be Edward, you know. No, or he wouldn't be where he is right now. Miss Aurora's voice gathered strength. I raised you better than to be a coward, Lane. I raised you better than to leave your duty at the exit door. If you want to honor me when I'm gone, you will do it by taking this family and moving them forward together. I did my sacred job with you, and you, son of my heart, are going to do it with them. Lane closed his eyes and felt a sudden weight settle over his body, as if Easterly's walls and roof had caved in and landed on him. You will do this, Lane, for me, because if you don't, everything I put into you means nothing. If you don't, I have failed in my job. Inside, he was screaming. Inside, he was already on a plane going anywhere away from Charlemont. God does not give us more than we can handle. I was waiting for someone to say that, she said grimly. But what if God doesn't really know us, Lane thought to himself. Or worse, what if God was just plain wrong? I don't know, Miss Aurora. Well, I do. And you're not going to let me down, son. You simply are not. End of chapter. Stretch break. Okay, that's better. My fingers needed that. Ugh. Okay, better. Sit up a little. Chapter 49. The true definition of eternity, Lizzie decided, was when you were stuck somewhere you shouldn't be. When the camisole that wasn't your own shoved down your damn shorts. When the sound of people in the hall finally quieted, she waited another 5 or 10 minutes before she poked her head out. Lunchtime, she thought. Thank God. Jumping into the middle of the hallway, she let the door close behind her and stayed where she was, listening. Next stop was going down past Jin's room and knocking on Chantal's door. No answer. Then again, the woman had left, right? Sneaking inside, she shut herself in. Oh God, she muttered, uh, fanning, fanning in front of her nose. Again, weird phrasing. The stench of fancy perfume was enough to make her eyes water, but she had bigger fish to fry, as they say. Hightailing it into Chantal's walk-in closet, she faced off with a wardrobe big enough to rival an entire Nordstrom's women's department. Or Saks, or whatever high-end place folks like Chantal got their clothes from. Geez, was she actually going to do this? What are we doing? Why the hell are you in here? It was probably a really dumb idea, she decided as she began rifling through the hanging sections, breezing past all manner of silks and satins and lace. Then came the suits, the jackets, the dresses, the gowns. Where's your lingerie, Chantal? Of course, the dresser. In the middle of the room, like an island organization, there was a built-in stretch of double-faced drawers, and she started pulling them open at random. Okay, this is stupid, she thought. Did she really think she was going to find the bottoms? She was third drawer from the bottom of the left side on the north-facing part when she found what she was looking for. Sort of. In the midst of a lineup of carefully folded and tissue paper separated slips and matching panties, she found a purple camisole that was identical to the one she had taken from behind William Baldwin's bed. Just to make sure she wasn't seeing things, she took the peach one out and put them side by side on the thick white carpeting. Same size, same maker. La Perla. Everything except for the color. I know La Perla is very, very expensive lingerie. like $900 panties expensive. Lizzie sat back on her butt and stared at the two, and that was when she saw the stain on the rug. Over in the far end of the room there was makeup. There was a makeup vanity that was lined up in a windowed alcove that overlooked the gardens. It was the perfect place to do your makeup or have it done in natural light. Didn't they say her room that this room was like also a crime scene though? And yet apparently it's you can just walk in. And under the ivory legs in the corner there was an unsightly yellow stain in a circle. It was the kind of thing you'd find in a house with dogs, except Easterly had no dogs. Crab walking over, she wedged herself under the second piece of furniture and patted at the discoloration. It was dry, but as she brought her fingertips to her nose, yep, that was the source of the perfume smell in the air. Frowning, Lizzie rose up onto her knees. Oh, God. The glass-covered surface in the vanity had a crack down the center, and the mirror was smashed in a starburst pattern. You're just now noticing this? Also, what the fuck is she actually doing? With blood in the center. Time to get out of here, she thought to herself. Going back to the lingerie she'd laid out, she returned the purple one to where it had been, and then on a lark used the peach silk to clean her fingerprints off the dresser folds. All of them. The last thing she needed was for the police to come in here and find out she'd been sniffing around, so to speak. Lizzie froze at the sound of a man's voice, except it wasn't in the wardrobe with her. It was next door. Jin's room, she realized. Two people were talking, loudly. Oh, so I guess we are going to get something from the sister. Going over, she put her ear to the wall beside a painting of a French woman who was mostly nude. I don't care, came Jin's voice with greater clarity. It's just at the courthouse. Your father is dead. Lizzie recoiled, bringing her hand to her mouth. What? Richard Ford continued. We'll wait to be married until after the funeral. I'm not mourning him. Of course not. That would require having a heart, and we both know that the absence of one is an anatomical anomaly of yours. Lizzie backed off, stumbled, fell into the dresser. Excuse me. After a moment, she continued with the wipe down and then went back to the door in the hall. Went back to the door into the hall. Her heart was beating so loudly she couldn't hear well enough and decided to screw it. If she got caught, what were they going to do to her? She could just tell anyone she was checking for flowers. But no one was out there. Blindly heading for the staff stairs, her mind racing, her thoughts slamming into one another, splintering, falling to pieces. At the core, though, she came to one inescapable conclusion. She had made a terrible mistake. Okay, so we're saying she actually believed that he did it, and now she's like finding out that he didn't, because I don't recall her actually believing it at any point. Like, what the fuck? I swear this book contradicts itself. The kind for which forgiveness was going to be next to impossible. Down on the first floor, she stopped dead in her tracks and realized that of all the places to stall out, she had picked Rosalinda's office. William Baldwin was dead, too. How, she wondered. What had happened to him? In a series of flashes, she saw Lane standing at the greenhouse, his face shut down, his voice flat as asphalt. Then she heard his friend telling her that, contrary to happily banging Chantal on the side, Lane had seen no one, done nothing. And then the bomb burst in that mirror upstairs, and the lingerie. Her last image was of Chantal out by the pool that morning when the woman had insisted on a refresher on her lemonade. At the time, the fact that she had been wearing a silk wrap hadn't seemed especially significant. But now, she'd been pregnant and just starting to show, which is why she had asked for a virgin, no alcohol. Chantal had been sleeping with William Baldwin, cheating on the son with the father, and she had become pregnant. She must have told William, Lizzie thought, after the Derby. And the man had lost it. He'd hit her up in that dressing room. Then he had kicked her out of the house or something like that. Shaking her head, Lizzie put her hands to her hot face and tried to breathe. Her one and only thought was that she had to make it right with Lane. Oh God, of course she's going to run back to him and say, "I'm so sorry I ever doubted you." She had condemned him based on her own fear of being hurt again, when in reality there was a very, very strong possibility that in fact he had had nothing to do with any of it. Chopping her arm, she knew words were not going to be enough. Not for this one. This is going to lead to them having sex. When the solution came to her, she checked her watch. If she hurried, she's just going to be like waiting for him naked, like Pretty Woman with the tie, right? Breaking out into a run, she flashed through the kitchen and Miss Aurora looked up from the stove. "Where are you going?" the woman asked. "What's on fire?" Lizzie skidded into the door out to the garages. "I've got to go to Indiana. If you see Lane, tell him I'm coming back." "I'm coming back." Why is she going to Indiana? What's in Indiana? Do we know? Is that where she's going to go tell someone she's not moving or something? I don't know. Something like that. End of chapter. That was really short. Was it like 2 pages? Literally 1, 2.5. Okay. See. Okay, so we're on the last chapter. Let me just see. Does this actually have an epilogue that I don't know about? No. Oh! Okay, I didn't know this. We're at pretty much at the end of the book. We've only got 3 full pages left. I didn't realize this. The last 8 pages are a sneak peek for the next book. Why do books do that? I've never, ever, 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 ever understood why they do that. I mean, I guess the obvious answer is to you put something like titillizing so that people will buy the next one. I get it. But yeah, we've only got a couple pages left, so we're going to be ending early tonight. Sorry about that, but I didn't know they put an advertisement in here. Actually, the advertisement part, which we will read because it's only 2 pages, so why not? Then there's there's 3 pages of acknowledgments too. We're not reading that. Oh, I think I have a picture of a chicken. Aw, there is a picture of a chicken. It's in the book club tab on my Discord if you want to see the chickens in their coop. Aw, they're cute. And they sorted themselves by color. They're really cute. Aw, they look very clean. Aw, they do look so adorable. They look cuddly, even though I know chickens are not cuddly. They don't like to be touched or picked up so much. They get very flappy when they don't want to be around you. But they look adorable. All right, so since we're on the last very short chapter, last call if you want to sponsor a duck or me chug some Skittles. I really didn't plan on things ending this quickly tonight, but I did not look ahead, and I should have. Sorry. Hey, wait, does it actually tell me which book is the next book? No, it just says what's next in the Bourbon King saga. You couldn't even tell me which one is the next goddamn book. I have to Google it. Oh my god. All right, chapter 50, last chapter, end of the book. Here we go. Let's see where we leave things off. It was actually pretty nice out here, Lane thought as he took a seat in the garden. Looking around at the ivy-colored walls. What do we got? The chickens are Chickaletta, brown 1, brown 2. Brown ones are named after Thing 1 and Thing 2 from Cat in the Hat. Yeah, I used to call my dogs that when I had 2. They were Thing 1 and Thing 2. Concerned about their creativity levels? Apparently two of the chickens are named Chickaletta. That's adorable, though. They love that you let the neighbor's kids name your chickens. That's really sweet. Oh, they're so cute. I want to pet them. Mm. Looking around at the ivy-covered walls and the orderly flower beds across the sparkling blue pool and the French doors of the business center, he imagined all the work that it took to maintain this natural beauty. It was impossible not to picture Lizzie out here, but he shut that down quickly. No reason to bother with those kinds of things. Bowing his head, he rubbed his eyes. Samuel T. had called about the situation with Chantal, and he knew he had to call the guy back. Mitch had also left a message, likely about the preliminary results of the autopsy. That happened at warp speed. And meanwhile, up on the second floor, Jeff was going through all the financial stuff. There were funeral arrangements to be made. He had no energy to deal with any of it. Damn it, Miss Aurora, he thought. Let me go. Just let me get out of this. He loved that woman so much. He owed her even more. And yet, even with his mama kicking him in the can, he just wasn't in this fight anymore. Raising his eyes to Easterly's incredible white expanse, he stared at the mansion as a real estate appraiser would. Sutton Smythe's mortgage notwithstanding, they could probably clear most of the debt with Prospect Trust by the sale of the place. Hell, with his father dead, maybe he could just go to Sutton and ask him not to send the money and rip up that mortgage. Edward, he thought. He would send Edward to do that one. Or maybe not. Maybe he would simply let it all go. Maybe instead of trying to fly this broken aircraft they were all in, he would let the goddamn thing crash into a mountainside. He might die a coward who had let his mama down, but at least it would be over with faster than trying to yank at the controls and attempt to land on some airstrip far, far below. Okay, nice analogy. Maybe instead of. Oh. Lane. He closed his eyes. Great. He was starting to hallucinate. Like Lizzie would actually come find. Lane. Chirking around on the stone bench, he saw that. Well, hypothetically, he saw that she was standing a couple feet away from him. And what do you know? In the light of the very late afternoon, she was as beautiful as she'd always been. Natural, lovely, bright blue eyes and her sun-streaked hair, and that Easterly uniform that really shouldn't have been sexy, but which was on her. Lane, can I talk to you? He cleared his throat, sat up straight like a man. I hate all the references to like a man in this. Apparently he hadn't imagined this. Yes, of course. What do you need? If it's a reference, I'll have the butler. I'm sorry. As her voice cracked, she took a shuddering breath. I'm so, so sorry. What was she? Oh, my father. He shrugged. I guess you overheard something. Yes, he's gone. Funeral's in a week. Thanks for the kind words. I'm not talking about that. Although, well, I'm sorry that you lost your father. I know that wasn't a good relationship for you, but it's still hard. Well, I happen to excel at relationships that are not good. I'm quite facile with them. Again, the choice of words sometimes. Even to his own ears, his voice sounded fake. The words not ones he would normally use either. Edward, he thought numbly. He sounded like Edward. Lizzie came forward, and then he was more than a little surprised to find her kneeling before him. And she was. Okay, we could go to some very kinky places with this, but I don't think it's going there. Why are you crying? He asked. Are you all right? God, how can you ask that after what I did? She didn't do anything. They're going to make this big dramatic thing out of it. She didn't do anything. What are you talking about? In typical fashion, they were speaking over each other, and because he didn't have the energy left to decipher anything, he shut up in hopes she would do some explaining and clarify things. I was wrong, she choked out. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. About Chantal. I just. I didn't want to get hurt again, and I jumped to conclusions, and oh God, I know your father was the one. I know he was the one. He was the one who hit her. He was the one who got her pregnant. I'm so sorry. Tears streamed down her cheeks, falling like rain from her face, landing in the blue grass at his feet. Lane blinked. It was all he could. Jesus, his brain wasn't able to process any of this. He literally couldn't understand what she was saying. Reaching behind her, she pulled something out. A sheaf of papers that was folded in half. Sorry isn't enough, she said. I've hurt you too badly for that. This is going way, 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 way too far. So I need to do something concrete, something to prove that I'm really with you, and that I love you, and I'm really with you. Is she going to propose or something ridiculous like that? She held the pages out to him. I need to show you, not tell you. Lane shook his head. If he was the one doing this, it would make more sense because he's the one who, took off. Lily, I don't know. Take it, she said. He did as she asked only because he didn't have the brains to think of a reason not to. Opening the crease, he looked at a whole bunch of letters, followed by some numbers. The second sheet was a map. It's the deed to my farm, she whispered. I know compared to everything you have, it's not much, but it's all I have in this world. What the actual fuck? If this was entirely religious, I would get this crazy ass shit, but it's not. Religion is just dashed in there here and there. But now we're going full, I don't even know what the fuck. But way, 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 way overcompensating in a relationship that is not really there. Because it hasn't had time to be there. But she never, if she had called him out, if when he came to her in the greenhouse, instead of saying just I'm leaving and he quietly leaves, if she had bawled him out and called him a wife beater, cheating, lying, son of a bitch, and maybe tried to stab him with some gardening shears, then this makes a little more sense. But she didn't. That never happened. As far as I'm concerned, she has nothing to apologize for. Yet, here we are. I don't understand. With the kind of money problems you're facing, it won't help with that kind of debt. But it's worth enough to pay for good lawyers, for people who can help you sort everything out. She tapped the document. I paid it off yesterday. I don't know anything on it. And I've been approached to sell it before. It's good land, it's valuable, and it's yours. Nobody does this. Nobody fucking does this. His breath left his body. His heart stopped. His soul broke in half. Because that's a thing that happens. I love you, Lane. I'm sorry I doubted you. I feel... God, you have no idea how badly I feel. Let me make it up to you the only way I know how. Or throw the papers in my face if you want. I won't blame you. But I had to do something that mattered. I had to offer you everything I am and everything I have. This is why it's going to be a Lifetime movie, because it sounds like one. Lane wasn't aware of reaching for her, but he knew the moment she was up against his chest. Wrapping his arms around her, he lost his shit completely. The dam cracking open, everything coming out in sobs. And Lizzie, with her big strong body and her big heart, held him for as long as it took. It's going to be okay, she told him. I promise you. Somehow it'll be okay. When he finally had it together enough to pull back, he had a quick urge to reach between his legs and make sure he was still a guy. Ah! Ah! Fucking... We could have a very nice moment there. But no, I cried in front of a female. Let me make sure my penis didn't fall off. We have to have that. What is with this fucking shit? Next book, I'm starting a bro shit counter. I'm gonna call it something better than that. But every time this manhood fucking bullshit, toxic fucking garbage comes up, there's gonna be a counter on it. I'll figure out what to call it. But this fucking shit is getting marked down. I'm reconsidering not burning holes in them. Man card. Yes. I may use that. That could work. Because it's just it's things fucking Andrew Tate would consider to be on the man card. I do love the fact that the internet's roasting him because he got arrested in women's clothes, but hey. You know, only because that would offend him. Oy. Make sure he was still a guy, but Lizzie didn't seem to care about him being weak. It is not weak to cry or cry in front of a woman. He wiped her face with his thumbs and kissed her. I love you, Lizzie. Then he shook his head, but I don't know about God. Oh, because of course we have to end this on a religious note. What? Lane took a shuddering breath. It's just something that Miss Aurora always told me. What's that? He kissed his woman again, because now she's his woman. I don't know if I have God, but I'm sure of this. I have you. And that makes me wealthy beyond means. Bringing her back up against him, he held on to her and stared up at Easterly. To hell with flying into a mountain, he thought. As of this moment, he was now head of the family, such as it was, and he would be damned if things went to hell and gone on his watch. End of book. That is where we're ending. With the world's most ridiculous Uno Reverso, now we're on 100 and engaged and together forever. And we love God and Jesus and everything will be magically fine and... This is going to get so much worse before it gets better, isn't it? Should we take a look at the sneak peek for what we have to look forward to? Okay, it's like 2 full pages. All right, let's do. I don't usually like spoilers or trailers, but who gives a fuck? So this is from one of the future books. I'm guessing it's from the next one. It doesn't say which that is, though, probably because when this was printed, it didn't have a title yet. This was probably all there was. The final shoe dropped the next day, and really when everything was said and done, Lane couldn't be surprised at all. With the way things were going at Easterly, the dominoes were still falling. The path to either his family's destruction or glory as yet being forged around curves and straightaways that only destiny or fate or God, if you believed in him, knew and was prepared for. Lane was in the parlor pouring himself a family reserve to prepare to meet his lawyer Samuel T. I'm not marking these down because they'll get marked down in their own book. Someone was yelling. A woman's voice. Someone was... Heading out and opening the front door, he realized the words weren't English, but rather in German. Schnisch, oh mein Gott, in something German. Falling into a run that splashed bourbon out of his rocks glass, he jogged around to the riverside of the mansion. His beloved Lizzie was standing over her horticultural partner. Oh, is somebody else going to die? Greta, the German, was pointing in the dirt and yelling all kinds of things. Everything okay, he asked. Did they find a body? Is there a body? He knew the answer to that one as he saw Lizzie's eyes were popped wide under the brim of her floppy hat. Lane, she said without looking at him. Lane, we have a problem here. Seriously, is there a body? She reached out and pulled Greta back until the woman fell onto her butt in the newly mowed grass. Don't touch anything. Lane, come over here, please. Okay, seriously, is there a body? Heading right up to her, he put his arm around her waist, more worried about his woman than any earthworm. Whatever it is, I'm sure. It's a finger. Lizzie nodded to the raw patch in the ivy. That's a finger in the dirt. Okay, so kind of right. There's part of a body. Are we gonna know whose? Both his knees cracked as he got down on his haunches. Planting his free hand in the grass, he leaned in for a closer look into the shallow hole that it was. Yes, it was a finger. A human finger. The skin was smudged with earth, but you could see that the digit was intact all the way around. And God, it was fat. Like the thing had either swollen since it had been cut off or torn off or whatever. The nail was even across the top, and the base of the length, where it had been severed from its hand, was a clean slice. The meat inside gray. The pale circular dot on the bottom of the bone. But none of that was what really interested him. The heavy gold circle around it was the issue. I was going to say it's the father's, and yep, that's my father's signet ring, he said in a flat tone. Yeah, because he was killed by the mob for debts. It was not a suicide, fucking duh. Patting his pocket, he took out his phone, but then didn't dial anything. Yeah, because why would you call the police? Instead, he looked up, and he saw his mother's bedroom window. His father's battered body had washed up on the far side of the falls of the Ohio River mere days ago. The coroner's unofficial pre-autopsy ruling was that it was a suicide, and given everything Lane had been learning about the dismal state of his august family's finances, he had to agree. No, you didn't. Nobody agreed. That's so stupid. Over $50 million in debt was no laughing matter when you were supposed to have the net worth of nearly $1 billion. See, okay, this is also why the numbers don't make any sense and why I'm not believing they're in financial peril, because it doesn't make sense. If it was $500 million, then I believe it. But 50, no, not for people like this, with all the resources and assets and their businesses, and Puppy wants some more attention. Okay, I have half a page and then I will bring you up to say goodnight, okay? Okay? Yes, you were sleeping, weren't you? Yes, you're a puppy. I know. You're such a good boy. But it seemed extremely unlikely that one would cut one's own wedding finger off and bury it beneath one's soon-to-be widow's window, especially if the husband in question had recently gotten someone else pregnant. Dear God, he whispered. At that very moment, the sound of someone pulling around the Peastone driveway broke the silence. He had joined the party. Samuel T. suddenly got out of his vintage Jaguar. Or is this little gathering by invitation only? As Lizzie's hand went to Lane's shoulder and squeezed, he looked up at her even though he addressed his lawyer. Call the police, Sam. Right now. Why? If you found hidden treasure, we should keep it to ourselves. I don't think my father committed suicide. Samuel T. stopped short. I beg your pardon. I think. Lane glanced at it as his lawyer and then went back to looking at Lizzie, because once again he needed her strength. I think someone might have just murdered my father. And what's worse, he was going to be the prime suspect. After all, the wife he was divorcing was the one his father had gotten pregnant. That does not make, with everything else going on, he would not be the prime suspect. No fucking way. But that's the blurb we get for the next one. I'm guessing that happens right at the beginning, because usually the blurbs are like at the beginning. But we are officially done with the book. We got all the way through it. Look at us. Aren't we just fucking awesome? Yes, we are. You know what else is awesome? This puppy. Come on, up. This is. And of course, he muted me. I was saying, isn't this just the most impressive specimen of doghood you've ever seen? Isn't he the most impressive doggy ever? Look how big and tough and strong he looks. Isn't he just a perfect little hound doggy? He howls like a hound, believe me. You do not want him howling. You were sleeping. Why did you wake up? Huh? Why did you wake up and come over here, little baby? You don't know? You don't know you're a puppy? Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go grab the second book and read the back cover, and then we'll say goodnight. Okay? Then we will call it a night. What do you think, puppy? Okay? I'll be right back. It'll take me 2 seconds. Okay, you hold the fort. I'd put him on the chair, but he'd freak out. I'll be right back. All right, I figured out which is. So the second one. Ugh, this is dusty. I need to clean it. Ah, not have lipstick on my hands. So the second one is called the Angel's Share. So the third one is called the Devil's Cut. And since we learned that the Angel's Share is a term in making bourbon and probably other alcohol, I'm guessing the Devil's Cut is too. Okay, the back is just places talking about it. Let's see if we have. Here we go. There is a blurb inside. Is this longer or shorter? It's about the same. So let's see. Does the inside blurb go to the back? Oh, we have a picture of the author. There. All right, let's see what the inside cover blurb is. Charlemont, Kentucky, the Bradford family is the creme de la creme of high society, just like their exclusive brand of bourbon. And their complicated lives and vast estate are run by a discreet staff who inevitably become embroiled in their affairs. This is especially true now when the apparent suicide of the family patriarch is starting to look more and more like murder. No one is above suspicion, especially the eldest Bradford son, Edward, who physically couldn't have done it, so next. The bad blood between his father and him is known far and wide, and he is aware that he could be named a suspect. As the investigation into the death intensifies, he keeps himself busy at the bottom of a bottle, as well as with his former horse trainer's daughter. Okay, so she's the love interest. Meanwhile, the family's financial future lies in the perfectly manicured hands of an evil of a business rival, a woman who wants Edward all to herself. Okay, so the second book's going to center around Edward because that's why Lane got his woman, so he's taken care of. So now the second book's going to be Edward, making the third one the sister. Why are we casting Sutton as being like evil now and like the other woman? If anything, she's like way ahead of the game. He wanted her before. He still wants her. They've actually had sex. And she seems like she's like one of the only likable characters. She's one of the only characters I actually like and I feel some sympathy for. And she comes off as like a good person. So she's gonna get like painted evil somehow. Because of course he has to end up with the God-fearing, wholesome, down-to-earth, doesn't curse girl, because apparently these are pseudo-religious coded or some shit. Everything has consequences, everybody has secrets, and few can be trusted. Then, on the very brink of the family's demise, someone thought lost to them forever returns to the fold. Maxwell Bradford has come home. But is he a savior or the worst of all the sinners? Again, if make religious fluff, but this half and half bullshit. But at least we find out we meet the other brother that we've heard mentioned a few times. Maybe we find out what their deal is. Do we even know if he's like older or younger than everybody? I think we were told he's the youngest. So that would make him like 25-ish. But we'll see. We'll see. We got 415 odd pages to get through. I like this cover better because it's not shiny. But we get the car. That, I'm assuming that is the Rolls-Royce Phantom. So at least there's that. I guess that's supposed to be like the estate. No, this looks like this here, over here. That looks like the mansion that Nacho picks her up at in 365, either 2 or 3. I don't know, they blur together. Because there's the same like grass walkway and his car is just magically sitting in the middle of it because movie's stupid. But there's that. So it's a bit early, but we're done for the night. We wrapped up the book. We know what's coming up next. We've got one of 3 hooked up with their romantic interest in the most rushed, laziest, sloppy, cheesiest way. God, it's so bad. And there's so much like time and opportunity to write a better reconciliation than that. Like, were there deadline issues? Were you rushing to meet a page quota? What? Because seriously, what? Doesn't make any sense. Alright, I think Pup has oh yeah, he's deeply unconscious. No. He's curled up on his puppy bed. So he's a happy baby. Well, happy as he can be for a night when he didn't get to eat a duck. But thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for getting all the way through this book with me. We've got 2 more to go. And then we've got E.L. James's latest. I'm not going to call it a masterpiece. You know what I'm hoping? I'm actually hoping that since I'm not buying it right when it comes out, because there's not a paperback listed right now, I'm hoping that once it comes out, there will be a paperback because I've never burned a hardcover book before and I'm a little worried about it. Also, there's just bothers me. So I hope that a paperback version is out by the time I actually need to buy it. Thank you for being here. Good night, Persnickety and your chickens. And Sasha, love on the Sasha for me. But that is going to do it for Tea and Rose's book club for this week. Everyone love on your fur babies. Sethail, give your dragon some love. And Sarah, love on Izzy, Ozzy, and Persephone for me. I'm sure they'll be happy for lots of attention and belly rubs and any treats that anyone wants to give their fur babies. Because they always want treats. But that will do it for me this week. I will post in my Discord how well the glasses held up and how long they lasted, because I'm going to check that out. I don't even know if they're still on, because there's no way to tell, but we'll find out once I plug them into my computer. Until then, I have been Insane Lane. This has been Tea and Rose's Book Club. We have finished 1 out of 3 books. Come back for the next 2, starting next week. Usual time, usual channel. Many, many ducks. Until then, take care of yourself. Love on a fur baby. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.